Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Washoe County School District Board of Trustees regular meeting for April 28th, 2026. It is now 2:01 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order, and item .101, item 1.02 is roll call. Clerk Cole, can I have the roll, please?
Clerk Cole, present. President Mayberry.
Here.
Dr. Nicolette.
Good afternoon.
Trustee Phoenix.
Present.
Trustee Smith is absent. Trustee Westlake. Here. Vice President Woodley.
Here.
And Student Representative Peyton Weir.
Here.
Welcome, Peyton. Glad to have you today.
Thank you, ma'am. We will go on to item 1.03. This is our Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to ask Lieutenant Colonel Scott Caldwell to lead us in the pledge, sir.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Item 1.04 is our land acknowledgement that will be read by Trustee Diane Nicolette.
Thank you. We acknowledge that Washoe County School District schools and communities are situated on the traditional homelands of the three major tribes of the Great Basin Native American peoples, including the Northern Paiute, Washoe, and Shoshone tribes. We honor their ancestors past and present and recognize these lands as a continued gathering place for communities. We express our respect and gratitude for the opportunity to live, work, and learn here in Nevada.
Thank you, Trustee Nicolette. Okay, I am going to take a point of personal privilege from Mr. Mike Kazmierski, who's in the room today. Mr. Kazmierski, I'm sorry, you're right in front of me. Mike is with, as you know, is from Strengthening Our Community, who will present a special recognition to Trustee Westlake for her work surrounding chronic absenteeism.
Ooh. Thank you, President Mayberry and trustees. Strengthen Our Community is a nonprofit dedicated to coalitions to improve our community in the long run by taking on really complex and difficult challenges. The board knows better than most how complex and important addressing chronic absenteeism is. We're talking 15,000 kids, 33 school days a year on average. This despite the hard work of the school district, our teachers, principals, and our parents, which is why SOC is adding what we call the third leg of the stool, the community support component, so we can all work together to save thousands of our kids from a life of poverty. That said, sometimes it is the simple things that move the needle on important issues like this. That's why we're presenting one of your fellow trustees, Trustee Westlake, with an SOC coin for her personal engagement in addressing chronic absenteeism. This school year, she established a donut challenge for elementary schools in her district and has personally funded, ordered, picked up, and delivered hundreds of donuts to 9 of the schools, and 39 classrooms have successfully achieved their goal of 90 to 100% attendance, depending on where they are now. And the energy and excitement this created is heartwarming. With the principal's support of the challenge and the use of flyers and announcements, the kids get really excited, and more importantly, peer pressure kicks in. We all know how powerful peer pressure can be. As Trustee Westlake says, like many people, I'm very competitive, and I love challenges. But who doesn't love donuts? She orders the donuts, pays for them personally, hand delivers them to the winning schools on Friday. It is this kind of innovation, all hands on deck approach that we need to improve attendance across this district. and we appreciate one of the trustees setting the standards and an example for the rest of our community. The Strength in Our Community coin, by the way, for those of you who haven't seen it, I'll pass it around. It's a starfish. And for those of you who haven't heard, it's got, some words on the back and a little card here. And the card, we've all heard the starfish story. I'll give you an abbreviated version. Basically, a kid was on the beach throwing starfish in the ocean, and some old son of a gun comes up and says, "You're wasting your time. That's not going to make a difference." And the kid throws another one in and says it makes a difference to that starfish. We've all held that part of the story, but you got to flip it over to read the rest of it. Imagine those starfishes are kids in school or parents who can't find childcare. And instead of one boy, the entire community is on the beach, united in an effort to throw all the starfish back into the sea. Together, we can make a real difference in strengthening our community. So, Colleen, thank you for showing us how to work as a community. Thank you again, President Mayberry, for the opportunity to
Absolutely.
present.
Thank you, Mr. Kazmierski, for all you're doing for our schools. We appreciate it. Thank you. And Trustee Westlake, I expect a dozen donuts at the next meeting. Congratulations. Okay, we'll go on to item 2. It's the consent agenda items. 2.01 is the approval of the consent agenda items 2.02 through 2.17. We are going to pull item 2.09. This is the agenda item on iReady. The item will return for a consideration at a future meeting, so we will not be entertaining public comment on item 2.09. That will not be on the agenda. If any other trustees would like to pull any other items out the consent agenda, okay. I do want to just make a quick comment on item 2.03. This is the item that is approval of the formation of a separate bargaining unit for Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps instructors in recognition of the Washoe Education Association as exclusive bargaining agent for the JROTC Instructor Bargaining Unit pursuant to Nevada Revised Statutes. I just, again, want to thank our team for working with the WEA and our dedicated ROTC professionals, supporting a separate bargaining unit for JROTC instructors is with the WEA's exclusive unit and really ensures that the collective voices are heard and really benefits the collaboration and the work that we're doing for our students. So I just want to acknowledge that and appreciate very much the work that our team has done along with WA. So thank you. Please express that. We will call for public comment now on the consent items.
I have comment.
Ken Stenden for consent agenda item 2.03.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. You too, we go to the same place. Hey, my clock's already running. All right, board members, Superintendent Ernst, thank you for taking the time to hear from a few representatives of our junior RTC teachers. My name is Colonel Ken Steinen, and I'm the Senior Army Junior RTC teacher, currently in my 9th year teaching here in Washoe County School District for Earl Wooster High School. Dr. Deeds, seems like just a few days ago I saw you. Thanks for coming to awards night. Most of my 30 years of the Army service was as a traditional guardsman, working part-time in uniform while having non-military jobs in healthcare administration in Phoenix or operations jobs here in Reno working for Microsoft. So while in the Army, we don't get the chance to talk about unions and other jobs. I've been there. I've never really called myself a strong proponent of unionization. However, the last year or more has changed my perspective and opinion. I and the majority of my fellow junior RTC teachers have for years accepted the fact that we were not permitted to be part of the WEA negotiated agreement. Until this school year, we'd been treated as if we were, with most of the benefits and rules of teaching in Washoe County School District applying to us as well as our fellow teachers at every high school in the district. As mentioned before, and I think Scott Caldwell is going to talk about it, we were successful in getting part of the pay raise or pay increases that all other certified teachers received years ago, and we do now have a junior RTC employee handbook. Thank you for these two items, but I feel the time is now to take the next steps. Some time ago, when we were asked to be allowed to be part of the WEA agreement, the response shared with junior RTC teachers was that this could not happen because, and I quote, "Junior RTC staff do not share a common interest with the rest of the certified staff." I recall reading this that day and literally laughing out loud. The only thing we do not share with every other licensed teacher in the district is how our pay is computed. Okay, our service branches dictate that, and they actually reimburse the school for almost half of the salary dollars that we earn. I assume all in the room today can accept that this is in fact unique. I want us to focus on the common interests we do share with every other teacher on our respective campuses. The most obvious commonality is our students. We teach the same students. Every core subject and elective teacher teaches. Every junior RTC teacher has the same level of passion for student success as the other teachers, and as we strive to fulfill our junior RTC mission, which for the Army program is to motivate young people to be better citizens. Other commonalities include we are licensed teachers. We have a license similar to CTE teachers that we get for having experience in an industry. We're coaches. We attend Can I go a little bit longer?
You know what, we have
Yeah.
the short answer is no, but we appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
We really do. We have a pretty heavy agenda. Yeah, thank you, though, very much for your comments. I do want to remind everybody that our comments, public comments are limited to 3 minutes. They must pertain to the agenda item. If you don't have comments not on the topic, they can be provided during the general public comment period. I'm sorry, but we have a lengthy agenda, so thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel Todd Hudson.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Members of the board, thank you for your opportunity to speak. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Todd Hudson, Senior Aviation Science Instructor of the Proud Panther Air Wing, North Valleys High School, Air Force JROTC. I am here to respectfully urge your support for including JROTC instructors as members of the Washoe Education Association. This request is rooted not in distinction, but in shared purpose and professional responsibility. First, JROTC instructors work daily for the welfare of school children and the advancement of education. Their classrooms build leadership, citizenship, academic engagement, and personal responsibility, outcomes that directly strengthen instructional opportunities for all students, consistent with the Washoe County School District standards. Second, JROTC instructors uphold the same ethical standards and professional expectations as their fellow educators. Inclusion in WEA strengthens the Washoe County School District by promoting ethical practices, sound personal policies, and professional standards that define teaching as a profession regardless of the program title. Third, unity matters. The WEA recognizes that a strong teaching profession depends on fair salaries, retirement security, professional leave, and working conditions that allow educators to focus on students. Excluding JROTC instructors fragments the profession and weakens collective stability where cohesion is most needed. Additionally, WE members enables JROTC instructors to speak with a common voice on matters affecting teaching and learning. WA Bylaw 2.4 ensures that all educators, traditional and specialized alike, are represented before the board, legal authorities, and the public with clarity and consistency. Finally, inclusion strengthens WA itself, aligning with WA Bylaw 2.5 by ensuring its resources, advocacy, and staff truly serve the full scope of Washoe County educators. JROTC instructors are educators. They teach, mentor, assess, and support students every day. Including them in the Washoe Educators Association is not an exception. It is an affirmation of shared values, shared standards, and a shared commitment to students. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir, very much. We appreciate all you do for us. Thank you.
Jerome Guerrero for consent agenda item 2.03.
Good afternoon, Superintendent, Board of Trustees. Nice to see you. My name is Colonel Jerome Guerrero. I am the senior Army instructor for McQueen High School. And what my compatriots have said, I also echo. The one thing I would like to highlight, my experience in Clark County showed me the value of having and being part of a union. It wasn't pushed very hard on ROTC instructors in Clark County, but when there were issues that came up, those instructors that were part of the union were authorized that union representative. And having that representative there to cover administrative matters just ensured equitability and ensured rules were followed forthright for each individual, regardless of the situation. And so I humbly request that you support this measure just to ensure that ROTC instructors have that equal level of protection that other teachers also enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lieutenant Colonel Scott Caldwell for consent agenda item 2.03.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. For the record, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Scott Caldwell, Director of JROTC for Washoe County School District. I'm here today to express my appreciation and gratitude to Superintendent Ernst and the district negotiating team for agreeing to move forward in establishing a negotiated agreement for JROTC, to Kalen Evans and his team for their tireless commitment to see this through for our 33 dedicated JROTC instructors. I would also like to personally thank and recognize our Chief of Human Resources, Mr. Doug Owen, who has willingly rolled up his sleeves and worked with me over the last 2 years to get our instructors some of the benefits they've been missing and to help create an interim employment book to at least codify some of the things that our instructors were already receiving. I appreciate his willingness to listen and problem solve on behalf of our hardworking instructors. Getting a negotiated agreement in place for my instructors has been one of my priorities since my arrival in 2018. When I learned that our instructors were living in a gray zone, not being part of any negotiated agreement, and none of the few benefits they received were codified. During my 15-plus years working in U.S. Army Cadet Command at the university and school district level, in every district, the instructors either had their own negotiated agreement or incorporated into the teacher's agreement. Polling my 63 Director of Army Instruction peers across the nation, the vast majority of instructors in districts are part of a negotiated agreement, including our fellow instructors in Clark County. This is an extremely important agreement for instructors and well-deserved. There are many misconceptions about how instructors fit in as teachers, what is permitted for them in terms of compensation, legal support, many other benefits and considerations their peer teachers receive. Although instructors must maintain a certification for their military service to be hired as instructors, and their minimum salaries are determined by their military service, with half of that sent to the district, they are first and foremost Washoe County School District 100% classroom time teachers. They are Washoe County School District employees, not federal employees, and they are licensed by the Nevada Department of Education and entitled to such benefits as being placed on an equitable teacher salary scale, be considered for step increases for exemplary performance, paid prep period coverage, to be compensated for their advanced educational degrees and thereby encouraged to seek further education and become more skilled teachers, be compensated for the 800-some hours they work annually in providing some of the integrated curricular programs for our cadets, after school weekends, and traveling around the country for regional and national championships. I'm going to skip forward here quickly. During my tenure here, not one instructor has complained about providing new programs that are required by JRTC. To do this, we need to have compensation and benefits in place to attract the most highly qualified JRTC instructors to the Washoe County School District. I firmly believe that a comprehensive and detailed negotiated agreement for JRTC instructors will ensure that only the best instructors are teaching, coaching, and mentoring our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. Appreciate it.
Patrick Prell for consent agenda item 2.03.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm Chief Petty Officer Patrick Prell, the Naval Science Instructor over at Reed High School for 11 years. I'd like to convey my appreciation to the Board of Trustees and Superintendent Ernst. JRTC teachers are certified teachers with Nevada teaching licenses along with certification from the Parent Military Service. As was said before, my colleagues, we are Washoe County School District employees. It should be on par with other district teachers JROTC teachers from Clark and nearby counties are allowed to be part of a negotiated agreement, and Washoe JROTC teachers should be as well. As JROTC teachers, we do many activities, events, such as national competitions, air rifle, drones, going across various parts of the United States, provide opportunities for our cadets. And additional duties like running unit supply rooms that value over $70,000 that we're not necessarily compensated for as other teachers that have similar duties are. JROTC has a positive impact on our students during high school and after they graduate, giving them the tools in their toolkit to be better citizens in our community, our state of Nevada, and our nation. We need to be able to retain and attract the best JROTC teachers, and one way to do that is having a negotiated agreement. I respectfully ask the Board of Trustees to support and approve a negotiated agreement as part of the Washoe Education Association for our JROTC instructors at Washoe County Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Brian Sens for consent agenda item 2.03.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Yeah. Sorry. There we go. Good afternoon. I don't really expect to add too much in my public comment. I think everything that the people that came before me was well articulated and well said. I just wanted to add my voice to this agenda item and express my support for it. I'm here to urge that you consider approval and including us into this collective bargaining agreement. We are dedicated to the success of our students, just like all other licensed instructors here in Washoe County. More than just pay, our inclusion in this collective bargaining agreement is an important step in standardizing our rights and, I think more importantly, our responsibilities as employees of Washoe County School District. Inclusion in this bargaining agreement will keep us from operating in the gray zone that we have been operating in for the last couple of decades. So again, please consider including us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And just as a reminder to the audience, we did remove item 2.09, the item on iReady from the agenda. That item will come back at a future meeting. I will not be accepting public comment on item 2.09. Remember, comments are limited to 3 minutes, must pertain to the agenda item. Thank you.
Kaylin Evans for consent agenda items 2.02 and 2.03.
Good afternoon, President Evans.
Hello, President Mayberry. Thank you for this opportunity. I just wanted to first start off by saying thank you, Superintendent Ernst, for your leadership on this issue, ultimately giving direction to your staff to get this done. I need to make sure that I call out Chief HR Officer Doug Owen as well. We don't get this done without him in terms of figuring out a way to make this happen. As an organization, we tried this several years ago, was not able to get it across the finish line. Personally, I've been working on this for almost 2 years to get this through and have hit a ton of roadblocks, but ultimately, we just really appreciate the opportunity and what this signifies, right? It signifies that we understand the value of collective bargaining and that how all of our employees deserve to be a part of that. I also wanted to quickly just say thank you to Colonel Caldwell. He really sets the standard for what it means to advocate for those that he supervises. I have, worked with a lot of supervisors, and to see how passionate he is about the men and women that serve in these programs and his advocacy for them is something that we should all really want to model. And then ultimately, we see this just not only as an opportunity to have these men and women better represented and served in our school district, but how we can use our platform to highlight these programs specifically within this district. The JROTC programs are a very viable and great way for many of our students to find and become college and career ready. And as a school district, we're always looking at what do we offer as a district, right? We want to be the premier option for families, and JROTC is one of those things that only the Washoe County School District offers, and we should really be working at how we highlight and expand these programs, getting more families and students involved and we as an organization want to do our part in helping do that. So again, I thank you, Superintendent Ernst, HR, Mr. Owen, and the board, and we just appreciate your consideration on this. Really, it's a historic event. We've never had this in our district before, and for the first time, these men and women are going to be able to be represented as they deserve. Thank you. Oh, sorry, 2.03. Right, my bad. Benchmark. We need to. We understand that we need to do some adoption on that because it needs to go into account next year. I would highly encourage staff to take a look at that, how that aligns with the science of reading, how that aligns with the science of learning that we are adopting as a district and across the state, and how that's going to work. And also, let's talk to staff and students as to whether or not these curriculums are engaging and that they are actually meeting the needs of our students and our staff. So I would just highly encourage those discussions with any curriculum that we're going to be adopting, that we're having those conversations. And so I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, President Evans. We appreciate you.
John Eppolito for consent agenda item 2.07.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. John Eppolito. In a few minutes, you guys are probably going to vote to approve another $550,000 to Infinite Campus. This is the largest database ever created on children in U.S. history. And you guys never even talk about the implications of all that data on our kids being stored forever by a third party. What Protect Nevada Children is most concerned about is all the non-educational subjective data Infinite Campus stores forever without parental consent or even parental knowledge. What I'm talking about is discipline, minor discipline, MTSS, medical, counseling, and psychiatric data. Remember, a subset of that data is uploaded to the state. The most incriminating part of the data is uploaded to the state in their SANE database. And last session, Senator Taylor helped us with a bill, we helped her with a bill, whatever, to start deleting that SANE data after a year. Unfortunately, Infinite Campus had 5 paid lobbyists in Carson City, and we couldn't make any progress with the Infinite Campus data. But hopefully this coming session, at least 1 or 2 of you will help me, and we can make some progress. That data should not be stored forever, and it definitely shouldn't be stored by Infinite Campus forever. So far, we know Infinite Campus has been involved in 5 data breaches. There's a handout for each of you there. And one of the times, this is a separate data breach that Pearson had in affecting Washoe County School District students. Pearson has access to Infinite Campus, and the Infinite Campus data was placed for sale on the dark web, and that had student IDs, student birth dates, student names, not social security numbers. And what happened was Washoe County School District told parents about the data breach because they had to because of our previous bill, thanks to Senator Dennis. But once it came out that the student data was placed for sale on the dark web, Washoe County School never went out and told the parents. Shame on you guys. But we come in here and remind you, you just sit there and don't do what we ask, which, whatever. This is the letter right here from 5 years ago from one of your attorneys, the school district attorney, stating why they won't tell us who has access to Infinite Campus. It's not just communities and schools. What you guys did tell us is communities and schools has access to the entire database on the students they serve. But you wouldn't tell us what other third-party vendors had complete access to Infinite Campus for the students they serve. Again, just as a little reminder, that's you guys should be doing that. And you should also be letting people speak at the beginning of the meeting.
That's all I have.
Thank you, JJ. Trustee Westlake.
Thank you, President Mayberry. I wanted to say something regarding our JROTC program and for us being able to vote today on incorporating them with WEA so that they will have the representation and dignity that they deserve. They're building stronger human beings. And it's important for anyone in our district to feel like they are part of our family, that they're cared for, that they're appreciated, in what they're bringing to the table. And having gotten to know Lieutenant Colonel Scott Caldwell and meeting with other JROTC leaders, I can say wholeheartedly that these are some of the most dignified, supportive of our students, encouraging of our students, wanting to build our students, offering so many programs that our children can take on into their futures, the drone program. And I can't think of a more welcoming and loving place to land than with WEA. And it's important and it's productive and more organized to be able to have a unified voice. I think then all of us are heard. And I just want to say how much I appreciate everything you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Westlake. Go ahead, Clerk Hall.
Thank you. I wanted to make a statement about the benchmark curriculum. I will vote with my colleagues to approve it because it is a one-year extension, but I'm going to make this really, really clear that the continued response that I get, that it fully aligns with our social studies standards, is something that I cannot continue to see. And I really, really hope that we will work through this next year to actually have real meaningful social studies in our K-5 classrooms. I appreciate that there are lessons in benchmark that align with some standards, but it does not align fully with our social studies standards. And after this, I really, really hope that this next year we will take the time to look for the right curriculum for not only our ELA, but have an actual social studies curriculum adopted for our K-5. Our kids deserve to be learning those standards starting in kindergarten. They're incredibly important to learn about the community around you, to learn about how to work with each other, to have civil discourse. And that can't be accomplished by having random lessons here and there. So I'm okay with the extension for this year, but I really, really want us to do better for our students, because that's where it starts, is in kindergarten. And I see it all the time, and it's a problem across this country, but we can do better in this district. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you, Clerk Hall. Okay, seeing no other comments, I am looking for a motion to approve consent agenda items 2.02 through 2.08 and 2.10 through 2.17.
I'll go ahead and make that motion. So I move that the Board of Trustees approves consent agenda items 2.02 through 2.08 and 2.10 through 2.17.
I second.
Okay, we got a motion from Trustee Phoenix, a second by Trustee Westlake to approve the consent agenda items 2.02 through 2.08 and 2.10 through 2.17. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, that concludes our consent agenda. We are moving into item 3.01. This is a presentation and discussion item only, a proclamation honoring National Apprenticeship Week in the Washoe County School District. Presenters Chris Hackbush, our Chief of Secondary Academics, and Dr. Josh Hartog, Director of Career and Technical Education, and I will let them introduce the panels, the special guests that will be coming up. And then after their presentation, we will have Trustee Nicolette read the proclamation, and then we will pause for a short photo. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Josh Hartzog here for the record. Thank you all for your time today. As we recognize National Apprenticeship Week, I am pleased to share that this year Washoe County School District has confirmed no fewer than 13 students who are said to enter registered apprenticeship programs either now or immediately upon graduation. For our district, this is a historic milestone and represents the culmination of years of intentional work to build strong, clear bridges between our career and technical education programs and the skilled trades workforce of Northern Nevada. This progress has only been possible through the work of our CTE teachers in partnership with several outstanding organizations, including the Associated General Contractors of Nevada, the Northern Nevada Apprenticeship Coordinators Association, the Building and Construction Trades Council of Northern Nevada, and our many local trades unions. I would also like to extend special thanks to Benny Wilson, Rob Benner, Diane Vanderwell, Tracy Holland, Sean Donnelly, Wendy Colborn, Carissa Lynn Stratton, and our own Matt McKay for the countless hours they have invested over the years to help our students see apprenticeships as full-ride scholarships, leading to high-demand, high-paying jobs and careers. To help put a face to this work, I am honored to introduce two guests with us this afternoon. The first is Christian Goodell, who is a senior in Debbie Smith's welding technology and their engineering programs, who has secured placement in an apprenticeship focused on electrical and fire detection systems. And then joining him is Mr. Benny Wilson, coordinator of the Northern Nevada Sheet Metal and HVAC Apprenticeship Program, our on-the-ground industry professional working closely with our CTE programs. At this time, I'd like to invite Christian and Benny to share as the board recognizes National Apprenticeship Week.
Christian, how are you? Great to see you.
I'm good. How are you? I just want to take a moment to talk about my apprenticeship so far. So the thing I was looking for most when I was seeing what I wanted to do for my senior capstone was something that I can take into my future and find a career in after high school. I didn't plan to go to college originally. I'm now going to college in mechanical engineering to further my education. But my apprenticeship had a lot to do with that. I was able to get materials from Pi Barker Fire and Safety. They gave me materials to use in the classroom, such as cameras, fire alarms, the systems that they use, and it allowed me to get familiar with. And when I turned 18 this past March, I was allowed to shadow a technician and go out to job sites and see what they do on a day-to-day basis and get used to the mechanics so I can hopefully do it myself one day. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you. We're really proud of you. Thank you for
very
sharing your
much.
story with us.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, it's good to see you again. Had the opportunity to tour your facility about a month ago, so I was delighted to have you back.
Yeah, I'm always welcome as long as, as well as everybody else from Washoe County, right? We're very proud of our program and the partnership that we have with the CTE department. I can't give enough thanks to all the hard work that they do in their schools. We just get to showcase our facility once in a while and have these students come in and tour our facility. We actually just had a tour today from Ace High School. So they brought in their CTE students, right? We're not specific on any discipline, but anybody that's looking for an alternative to that traditional college path, right? So let's be honest, it's not for everybody. This is a real option to give students a path to earn while they learn, have paid benefits, high-paying jobs, and in a career path that can be forever. In addition to this, we offer all of our college credits, partnered with TMCC, like a lot of the dual enrollment programs are here. Just like Christian said, he wants to go on and further his career and take some of these college classes. We want that as well, and we'll help you pay for this. So at the end of this 4-year apprenticeship, you have a trade that somebody can never take away from you. You have that education, and you also have all those credits that you earned at TMCC along with us. But I personally wanted to thank Josh Herzog and Matt McKay for all the hard work that they did to actually get this done. So round of applause for those guys. And I'll keep it brief. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. We good? I think we're going to read the proclamation now if there's no other presenters on this item. Okay. And we'll give Trustee Nicolette the honor.
And it is an honor. I've been involved with career and tech ed for, well, I don't want to say, you might be able to guess my age. I first want to give a nod to history. I believe history is extremely important, so I'm going to read this so I'm correct. The National Apprenticeship Act of 1937, also known as the Fitzgerald Act, is federal law authorizing the U.S. Department of Labor to regulate and promote registered apprenticeship programs and to set labor standards that safeguard apprentices and promote high-quality on-the-job training. The National Apprenticeship Act of 2023 quickly moved forward, although the core of the 1937 Act remained in place. Systems were updated and modernized, such as an investment of $3.85 billion over 5 years for expansion. It also created 1 million new apprenticeship opportunities. There's 3 hallmarks, as really mentioned, I will sum it up, that outline the registered apprenticeship programs. Number 1, earn while you learn. Number 2, industry recognition. Number 3, structured on-the-job training. Finally, as of 2026, expansion and increased funding remain in the forefront. I think that's really good news. We're headed in a really strong direction for our students and our future. Proclamation. Whereas National Apprenticeship Week annually raises awareness of the vital role registered apprenticeships provide in meeting critical industry workforce demands, developing the highly skilled workers employers need, and creating pathways for Americans to enter in-demand, high-paying careers. And whereas registered apprenticeship is an industry-driven, high-quality career pathway through which individuals obtain paid work experience with a mentor, receive progressive wage increases and classroom instruction, and earn a portable, nationally recognized credential that opens doors throughout their career. And whereas the Washoe County School District recognizes the urgent need to prepare students for high-quality careers and is committed to expanding registered apprenticeship pathways that meet the current and future workforce demands of Northern Nevada's growing economy. And whereas the Washoe County School District recognizes the pivotal role that educators, school counselors, career center facilitators, and the career and technical education programs serve in bringing awareness of registered apprenticeship opportunities to students and families, almost there. And whereas registered apprenticeship programs are uniquely able to meet the changing demands of Northern Nevada's economy, providing a proven, industry-validated pathway that benefits students, employers, and communities alike. Now, I, Diane Nicolette, for Joe Ernst, Superintendent of Washoe County School District, do hereby proclaim April 26th through May 2nd, 2026, as National Apprenticeship Week in Washoe County School District, and call upon our students, families, educators, counselors, and community partners to recognize the value of registered apprenticeship and to promote awareness and expansion of these vital career pathways. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Nicolette. Okay. Yeah, picture, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you for that. We're going to kind of go right into our business meeting here, more formal items. As always, just before we begin the presentations, trustees, you can see we have a lot of heavy items on the agenda. I'll have to leave by 4:30. Trustee Nicholas leaving about 5:30, so please just keep your questions real succinct and hold off on your questions until we have staff fully complete the information that ensures our community members are watching can hear the full context and respect the time and the preparation of our presenters. In many cases, you'll find most of your questions will be answered. So let's go on to item 3.02. This is the disposition of protest by Continental Flooring Company to the recommendation of award for a bid of flooring at George L. Dilworth Middle School. This is an item for possible action. With us presenting this item, Andrea Stelliban, our Senior Director of Supply Chain Management, and Kevin Pick, our Deputy Chief General Counsel. Good afternoon, both of you.
Good afternoon. For the record, I'm Andrea Sullivan, Senior Director of Supply Chain Management for the district. We're here today to discuss an appeal that we received from Continental Flooring to bid number 2665B01BC, which was the replacement of asbestos flooring at Dilworth Middle School. Chris Coleman, who is the president of Continental Flooring and the appellant, is joining us via Teams, and you'll hear from him a little bit later. For today, I'm going to give you a little background on NRS 338, the law that governs construction bidding and contracting. We're going to give you staff's perspective of the appeal issue, a synopsis of the bid appeal thus far, and then after I've given you that information, we're going to allow Mr. Coleman to speak and give his perspective so that you can hear both sides before we'll then ask you to make a determination once you've heard from staff and the appellant. So NRS 338142 allows a bidder to appeal within 5 business days of the purchasing department posting publicly the recommendation of award. They do have to point out with specificity the portion of the law they believe we violated. And a receipt of an appeal letter and this corresponding bond acts as a stay of award. So you cannot award this contract until there's a final determination or a resolution to this appeal. So we will hold off on awarding this contract until final determination is made. The purchasing department opened bids for this on March 2nd. Continental Flooring was the apparent low bidder at the time of bid opening. After the opening, as we always do, staff evaluated the bids and determined that Continental Flooring had provided 2 incorrect contractors' license numbers for one of their listed first-tier subcontractors. So for one first-tier subcontractor, they listed 2 license numbers, both of which did not go with the subcontractor they listed. So they listed a subcontractor, they listed 2 contractors' license, neither of them are assigned to that subcontractor. Upon noticing this, staff researched NRS 338. Of note, it says that the 5% subcontractors list is required to be provided with the bid, and it says the bid must, and I would emphasize must, contain the following 3 items: the name of each first-tier subcontractor, the number of the license issued to the first-tier subcontractor, and a description of the labor or portion of the work that first-tier subcontractor will perform. In this case, the contractor's license numbers for one of their first-tier subcontractors were both incorrect. So we didn't fulfill the requirement of having the number of the license issued to that subcontractor. NRS 338 goes on to say that if a contractor fails to submit the 5% list within the required time, the contractor's bid shall be deemed non-responsive. And so based on the language of must and shall, we determined, or the purchasing department determined, that this bidder was non-responsive, and we recommended award to the next low bidder on March 9th. The purchasing department received Continental's letter of appeal and appeal bond within the required 5-day appeal window. And the crux of their issue is that they in fact did submit a 5% list on time with their bid. Of note, they don't say in the letter, they don't point out with specificity the portion of law we violated, or they believe we violated, but they do believe that the entry of the incorrect license numbers it was a result of a clerical transcription error, and therefore should be waived as a minor informality, and so they should be allowed to correct it. Nothing in NRS 338 allows for waivers of minor informalities for items required by law. And I will tell you, it has been a very consistent practice with the purchasing department over the many, many years I've been here, that we don't waive as informalities those things required by law. So for example, a bidder also has to submit their certificate of eligibility to receive preference in bidding. I might know a company has one because I've seen them submitted on other bids, but if they don't submit it with this particular bid, then I can't consider it, right? And so, you know, I will say sometimes it's a little more challenging to bid on public works projects than it is to bid on a private project. But, you know, I'm here as a compliance person to make sure that we treat all contractors fairly and consistently. And so one thing we do pride ourselves on, because we know if we go talk to the OGC, the first thing they're going to ask us is, well, what has been your past practice when something like this has happened? So we really do make sure that we don't waive as informalities those things required by law. So that's sort of the crux of the issue. It's not a super complicated issue. It's a fairly narrow issue. I will tell you that we have, you know, had a lot of communication and process that's been going on from the time the appeal letter was received until today. We did, after receiving that appeal letter, what happens is I have construction staff. They are the ones that researched and made the recommendation to deem them non-responsive. I then, after receiving the appeal letter, I look into the whole process. I look into every part of that bid to make sure it was done right and that I think the law was applied fairly and correctly. I looked at their 5% list. I looked at their issues they raised in their appeal letter. And after doing that, on March 26th, I issued a letter denying their appeal, largely based on the language that says must and shall. And I would say that, you know, in the contracting world, must and shall are used very purposefully, as is may or should. When we use may or should, we want there to be a little bit more flexibility. When we use shall and must, it does not leave for a lot of it's not permissive language, and it doesn't allow for a lot of flexibility. After receiving my denial letter, the appellant elected on March 24th to pursue his appeal further with the Washoe County School District Appeals Committee. So there's an appeals committee of people above me that can take a fresh look that's kind of outside of the purchasing department. And they take a look at it, and they look at all the same things that I looked at, plus they also look at my letter denying the appeal originally. And on April 7th, they issued a letter, again, denying the appeal, largely because NRS 338 says must and shall with respect to these lists. So that brings us, on April 13th, then after that happened, Continental Flooring alerted the purchasing department that they wished to pursue this further and bring it to the Board of Trustees. And this is where the final determination will be made on this. So we're asking that you make a final decision as to whether to deny or grant this appeal. But before we do that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris Coleman, the president of Continental Flooring. He's going to say a few words. And after he's done having his say, then you guys can ask any questions you want of us or of him. And then after that, it would be the time for you to discuss, deliberate, and make a final determination. So before I turn it over to Mr. Coleman, do you guys have any questions about anything I've presented so far?
I tell you what, let's hold our questions till the end. I do want to welcome Mr. Coleman, and Mr. Coleman is aware that he has up to, but no more than 10 minutes. So good afternoon, sir. You have the floor.
Not undefeated in this, so I guess we have some chance here. And I appreciate you allowing me to do this via Zoom. I just had my mother go in for an emergency surgery on Friday, so we've been dealing with that, and it was a little difficult to make the trip right now. I also appreciate the appeal process that the district has. I've been doing government contracting for over 45 years. We are very versed in it. We understand it extremely well. And I think you guys have an excellent process, and I commend you on it. What I would like to say about this, the must and shall, we understand those terms extremely well. We don't file the protests lightly. We understand the world we operate in. We understand the technical nature of government bidding. And my interpretation here, I believe that the district has looked at the form over substance. And what I'm talking about there is 338 and the purpose of the statute there, which is a subcontractor list that must be provided in the state of Nevada, which its purpose is to prevent bid shopping, so that prime contractors that win these jobs can't later go out and shop the bids. They have listed their subcontractors, they have identified their subcontractors, and they have told the district, they have told these agencies, this is who we're going to use, and it prevents them from bid shopping after the fact. That is the purpose of it. That is what the legislature put it into place for. That's what it is in existence for. The 338 says that you must submit this form. We did, okay? And that to me is the crux of the argument. We did submit the form. What we did do is had a typographical error on the contractor's license number for our subcontractor. How we did that, beyond me. That was not a good thing, but we did. We wrote down the subcontractor's license number wrong. To show you how apparent it was who we intended to use, there was no confusion on the part of the district, because they're the ones that told us, hey, these are the guys you wrote down, and here's their correct license number, not the one you wrote down. So it was very clear to the district who our subcontractors were. There was no lack of identification. 338 does not give the district explicit power to waive this as a minor informality, nor does 338 also say that they must dismiss our bid over a typographical error. The district is relying on language in 338 that basically is saying the form must be submitted and cannot be changed, because the whole point of listing your subcontractors is you can't later go and change them, right? Continental is not asking to change those subcontractors. We simply made a typographical error. And that's the crux of the argument. Again, I feel like the district is looking at form over substance. There is a substantial difference in bids here, $68,000. I know you guys deal with a lot of money, but at the end of the day, your district has dealt with budget shortfalls and issues just like most of the districts have. Money is very, very important. It is taxpayer money. $68,000 is no small amount percentage-wise on this bid. $68,000, pays a teacher's salary for a year. It's a big amount of money. And to me, this is a minor informality. I've been doing this a very long time. The district has the power in 338 to waive this. The board has the power to grant us the award on this. It does not compromise the integrity of the bidding system. It does not affect our competitors. It did not give us an unfair advantage. And so therefore we are asking the board to look at this from a practical standpoint and to grant the award to us as the low responsive bidder. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Coleman. I appreciate that. Any questions from the board? Yes, Trustee Nicolette.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. I appreciate that information. Andrea, Mr. Coleman used the statement must be submitted and cannot be changed. So the incorrect information cannot be changed?
NRS 338 does not allow, doesn't have any language allowing them to amend and resubmit their 5% list. It is due at the time of bid and must contain those three things. So we would not allow someone to amend their 5% list once they've turned in their bid and the bid due date and time has passed.
So technically, we, the school district, do not have the power to waive this mistake.
That is how I see it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Westlake, please.
Thanks, President Mayberry. I want to make sure I say this right. So, yes, Senior Director Sullivan. Can you read the part where it says must and shall? And I've asked a lot of questions about this, but what I'm looking at is where it's inserted. Is it just inserted must and shall submit a 5% list, but then does it repeat must and shall include this? I mean, because he must and shall submitted a 5% list, does it go on to say it must and shall have these three things? I'm sorry, I know you read it, but I just want to hear it again, please.
I can answer that. Hi, Chief General Counsel Kevin Pick for the record. Actually, it says both. It starts off NRS 338141, subsection 1, says that each bid must include a list containing three things. And then the three things are spelled out in both subsection 1 and subsection 2. Director Sullivan was absolutely right. And it needs the name of each first-year subcontractor. You need the number of the license issued to each first-year subcontractor, and you need a description of the labor or portion of the work to be done. And so they're all in there under the must component. They must be in there to be considered a sufficient list, a complete list for the subs. And so the must applies to all of them. And I'll just reiterate what Director Sullivan said too. The failure to submit the list within the required time, the contractor's bid shall be deemed non-responsive. And so those are the musts and shalls that do apply to this provision.
Okay, I had counsel.
May I comment on that 1 second as well?
Yeah, and then I have a question for counsel Peck.
Well, go
also.
ahead. Yeah.
So my question for counsel, Kevin. So something was said, formative substance, and I remember, that's kind of important. I remember that back in my criminal justice classes in college. It's kind of the spirit of the law. Is there any way to get around this with formative substance, the spirit of the law? I mean, I know it's pretty cut and dry with legal. However, they do color out of the line sometimes, and they use that term.
Sure, and I think if you had any lawyer up here, and if the NRS said must or shall, that they are going to advise that means must or shall, and that there is no, I just want to say, I was involved in the appeal committee on this. I very much feel for Continental, and I can understand how they would believe that, we're applying a very strict reading of the statute. But we're applying a strict reading of the statute because the statute has strict terms in it. It says it must, it says it shall. And so when the statute says that, Nevada law talks about the requirement of strict compliance with it and a strict reading. There's a lot of cases that said that those are must and shall, those connote mandatory requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Coleman, I appreciate you being here. I really do. I'm sure you're a nice man, a great business owner, and I appreciate your tenacity, taking this to where we are today. Somebody that's been in the public sector my entire career, I know as frivolous as some of these errors are, and they are, they also, we have to conform to the law. I mean, I've seen bids being rejected because they're missing a signature. And it's unfortunate. It truly is.
Yes, yeah, we're very familiar. Again, to comment, we are not disputing the must and shall, and I believe the interpretation the district is reading is correct. You must submit it, and we did. You shall have all this information. We did have it. What the statute is missing, however, is the typographical nature of it, and it does not give the district. It neither prevents nor allows the district to dismiss us over the typographical nature of not having the license there. So again, the form over substance, what is the purpose of the statute? The purpose of the statute is to prevent bid shopping, that a contractor must list their subs. We had done that. So the form and the must and shall, I believe, was fully satisfied here. So I think we're actually on the same page there. It's really a matter of whether or not the district has the ability to waive the informality of the typographical listing of their license number. And I believe the statute allows that. It does not prevent you from doing that.
The only question I have to our staff is, can we reject all bids and rebid this?
We do have the authority to reject all bids and rebid this. I would say a couple of things to that. One, probably we have to be careful about using that as how it may appear that we're trying to get around the law, right? Like if we don't like the law, we just cancel the bids and reissue them so that everybody has a second chance. And I would also tell you, if we were to cancel and reissue, we would not be able to do the work this summer. It would have to be pushed to next summer.
Any
believe the
questions?
second
Yes,
bidder-
Vice President Whitley.
Mr. President, if we could go to public comments, I'd like to deliberate. I don't have questions, I have comments, but I'd like to give the opportunity for public comment first.
Okay, do we have any public comment on this item?
I have no comments on this item.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Trustee Wesley.
I
Yeah,
had
go-
one more
Oh,
question.
okay, sure, go
If we want
ahead.
to do questions before comments. So I like what you said, President Mayberry, because I think sometimes there are opportunities that you can take that are fair and just, but I want to make, I'm not sure why it would take that long. If we just, how, is there a time frame? I need to understand this process. Is there a time frame the bid has to sit out there, or do you just say, hey, we're throwing this out, we're opening this bid up, 10 days, and then da-da-da-da? I'm not understanding this lengthy thing, so I'm just misinformed. I would like to know. Thank you.
Sure. I'll give you what I know. Tammy Zimmerman's here to talk more about it, and she and I have spoken about it. But I will say, you know, there is a process we have to go through to approve to get a bid issued. We do have to issue it for a certain amount of time. We normally have it out on the street for 4 weeks because we want to give every potential bidder the opportunity to look at this bid, review it. It takes a long time to kind of look at everything and price it out. I could shorten that since it's already been out, but, you know, in fairness to all other potential bidders, it's a new bid out on the street. Some other bidder who couldn't do it then might be able to do it now, and they would need the time to really go through it and have their estimator go through it and provide a solid bid. And then we have to review the bids when they come in. We have to recommend award. We have to open the appeal window, and then let that appeal window expire before we can come to the board. And then there's the time to order the materials needed for the project. And the belief is that if we can't award this project in early-ish May, that we won't have time to order all the materials and get them here by the time we do award this if we go back out to bid. And if Tammy has anything to add, she can.
What's the legal amount of time, though? Not what we would like, but what is the legal?
7 days.
So a week. So 1 week. So now we could be early
Right.
May. I think we've got to be really open to what exactly, I know what it usually looks like, but legally, we're talking a lot of legal stuff right now. So legally, we only have to keep it open 1 week.
And the other thing I would say about that too is, one thing that contractors really don't like is that now that the numbers are public, we cancel and reissue immediately with the same exact scope of work. Now all the numbers are out there in public, and so that is a real issue as well too. And it might actually prevent people from bidding on the project, maybe not, but it is definitely an issue that we would not want to see. So typically, if we're going to cancel and reissue a bid, we wait a substantive amount of time, or we add or subtract scope to that so that it's not the same exact project that goes out with all the numbers public.
And if I could, I just wanted to add one thing too. Earlier, when Director Sullivan was talking about the history of what happened in this bid, she talked about precedent. And precedent is extremely important in this world when you go from bid to bid. And so I'd like to request the board to think about what precedent would be set by having this situation and granting the appeal or denying the appeal, but reissuing the bid because a bidder did not comply with Nevada law. And so I'd like to request the board to think about that aspect too.
Okay, we're going to go to Vice President Woodley, then we'll go to Trustee Nicolette.
All right, thank you. Fortunately for me, I have a lot of experience with the RFP process and NRS 338. And I can tell you unequivocally, when the NRS says shall, it means shall or must. We, in my past life where I worked, we had BDRs just to change that word. We used BDRs to change a shall to a may because it was that important. The way it has been explained to me over the years, one of the things was, as you stated earlier, bid shopping, quote shopping, however you want to call it. One of the reasons why the NRS is written the way it is to avoid a situation, because you can have, I'm not saying this happened here, but you can have unscrupulous bidders that will intentionally give wrong information and say, oh, that was a mistake, can you reconsider, and now, or put it back out, and now we have an idea of what we're going to bid and how much we're going to bid, and it's a controlled situation. The whole intent is to make it a surprise. When all the bid comes in, there's supposed to be a minimum amount of people there. We all open the envelope together, so no one has any insight more than the other, and whatever is not valid, it's not valid. It's cut and dry. It gets cut out, and sometimes I've seen it where we were like, wow, we wish they had the information, because that was a good bid. We would have loved to pay that price. But there's a reason why the NRS is written the way it is, to maintain that integrity, to make sure that it's a blind process when it comes in. Now, precedence is a huge thing, because because I'm telling you right now, if we do this and we try to go back, rest assured every bid is going to have this situation, or at least a significant increase of appeals are going to occur. We can't afford to be doing this back and forth, back and forth. So I'm a firm believer in must, shall, may, should. I've lived that for many years, and I think we need to stick to the precedents that we've set and that we've exercised forever. Thank you.
I've had full trust and faith in this process for 7+ years, and I want to thank you for, it's the little details sometimes that can get us in trouble, very simply. And I so appreciate that you are so thorough, adhere to the law, adhere to your professional integrity, and you find these little mistakes. Yes, they're little mistakes, and yet I appreciate that precedence wins out here, because for, again, 7.5 years, this department, bid and procurement, have proven to me that you do your work, and I trust in you. Thank you.
Clerk Hall, and then Trustee Phoenix, if we go ahead.
I think Dr. Nicolette just kind of took the words out of my mouth, but that was exactly what I was going to say. Is I think that when NRS is very clear in the way that it is, we could potentially be opening up a huge can of worms with the amount of construction projects we're about to have. But beyond that, we enter into so many contracts in this district, and I think that the potential that we could be really opening ourselves up to, as Vice President Woodley said, multiple appeals, and have the risk of not following NRS and opening ourselves up to a huge liability for not following it is just not something that I feel comfortable with, and I'm happy to make a motion if we're ready for that.
Okay, I'll accept the motion, please.
Okay. I move that the Board of Trustees rejects the bid protest by Continental Flooring Company to the recommendation of award for request for bid number 26-65-B-01-BC, replacement of asbestos flooring at George L. Dilworth Middle School to SI Legacy Floor Finishing, Inc.
And I second that, and thank you for your due diligence.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Clerk Hall and a second by Trustee Phoenix to reject the bid protest by Continental Flooring Company. All in favor? Any further discussion? Okay. Trustee Westlake.
Oh.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Thank you for your presence this afternoon.
Thank you.
Staff, thank you for your due diligence as well. Appreciate it. Ms. Sullivan, Mr. Pick, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item 3.03. This is a possible action item on a presentation discussion to approve the Washoe County School District School Property Reuse and Disposition Framework to be utilized for all school repurposing decisions to be initiated following action by the Board of Trustees to close the school site in accordance with NRS Chapters 277 and 393. With us is the presenters, Tiffany McMaster, our Deputy Superintendent, Adam Searcy, our Chief Operating Officer, and Kevin Pick is back with us as Deputy Chief General Counsel. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Mayberry, Superintendent Ernst, members of the Board of Trustees. For the record, Tiffany McMaster, Deputy Superintendent. I'm joined today by our Chief Operation Officer, Adam Searcy, and Deputy Chief General Counsel, Kevin Pick. We are bringing forward to you today the Washoe County School District Disposition and Reuse Framework for your consideration. This item represents real cross-functional team expertise that has been brought forward to analyze the impacts, surface risks, balance trade-offs, and really strengthen the overall quality of the framework being brought forward to you today. I do want to just take a moment to thank the real collaborative effort that was contributed to this item here today. We had representation from operations, legal, communications, academic, and finance that helped build this framework. And it's just a true testament to the power of collaboration when everyone's heads come together. So thank you to them for that. To provide you context before we dive in, this framework really began back in December of 2023 when this board approved the facility modernization plan. That approval really outlined and gave a roadmap for all rebuilding, modernizing, consolidating, and repurposing moving forward. Now, repurposing has occurred since that approval of the FMP, and we are seeing that take place with Pine Middle School being closed this year and being reopened in the near future as an elementary school. That's an example of internal reuse. However, we really haven't considered other internal reuses or external uses for closed properties, and that's really kind of what sets the stage for what you're going to have in front of you today. Another just reminder, in 2025, this board took action to close several schools. In fact, it was 6 elementary schools, to include the Oldstead Elementary School, Kate Smith, Veterans, Corbett, Dotson, and Smithridge. This team has taken a lot of time to research across the nation some of the other school districts that have gone through this process so that we could learn from their experiences. And we recognize that schools represent a considerable asset to the public, not only for us as a district, but for the entire community value. So it's really important to us to be really thoughtful in this process and come forward with something that shows that we've done our due diligence and we are showing our stewardship moving forward. Today, we're proud to share this framework with you that's going to be aligned to our core educational mission as a school district and will be applied to all closed schools moving forward. To ground us in the purpose of this repurposing framework, it is to provide a transparent and repeatable process that can be used to guide all Washoe County School District repurposing decisions moving forward. This framework is grounded in compliance with NRS as well as board policy. We recognize that because these are public assets, that community engagement is an essential factor, and we believe this framework fosters that community input. The decisions that will be made moving forward will support student success, will always be informed by data, will have support long-term planning, grounded in safety and feasibility, and always support effective resource use. This framework will outline the structured decision-making process that will guide staff in our recommendations that we will bring forward to this board, as well as help guide the board in your considerations moving forward. Board Policy 7086 really serves as the kickstart for the development of this framework. This board policy outlines 5 specific categories for reuse of schools. 2 of them are internal for either academic or non-academic purposes, and 3 of those considerations are external, where government entities or nonprofit organizations serving youth or adults are a consideration, or just outright sale or lease on the open market are considerations as well. It's important that board policy outlines and has guided this framework in acknowledging some expectations around the decision-making process, in that it needed to be transparent, it needed to be data-driven, we needed to engage with our community before we make any final decisions, that our decisions need to be focused on student outcomes, fiscal responsibility, legal requirements, as well as the needs of each individual neighborhood. This framework will outline clear staff responsibilities, clear touch points with the Board of Trustees, and emphasize that all final decisions will be made by the Board of Trustees. With that, I'm going to pass things off to our Chief Operation Officer, Adam Searcy.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. For the record, Adam Searcy, Chief Operating Officer. A lot of what is expressed on this slide in particular has been reiterated. It is grounded in Board Policy 7086. But I think, to sum it up in a sense, I want to zoom back or rewind to the fact that closing a school, making the decision to close a school as this board has, is an incredibly complex and emotional decision that we have and may continue to have to make. In mirroring that, the process to repurpose that property deserves the same level of care, transparency, and complexity that the decision to begin the process means. I've said this time and time again to others that have been a part of these conversations, as it dates back to the FMP, how we repurpose these schools will have as significant of an impact on how the ultimate success of the plan is received as how we construct or how we bring to life any of our new schools. So it's really important. All of the same points of emphasis are mirrored on this slide as are a part of the board policy, as are embedded in the framework. These are significant community assets that have served our community for generations. They hold tremendous value both to our taxpayers and to the district in terms of financial potential, but also community value. And in order to execute this repurposing framework successfully, we need to ensure both community engagement and qualitative input, as well as data-driven quantitative input, site analysis, that will ultimately come together in the form of an evaluation and a recommendation from the staff through the superintendent to the board on multiple occasions. That's really kind of the overview on this slide. The next slide talks about this process in the sense of phases. I think that's helpful just to kind of orient ourselves to where we are at in the process. Starting on the left, phase one really begins with the decision to close a school. That's really governed by, the administrative regulation stemming from Board Policy 7086. It's Admin Reg 7087. As described, we've navigated that process and made that decision. The board has on a number of occasions, and that brings us now to phase two. And this framework is intended to guide us through the entirety of phase two. And then as we conclude this afternoon, we'll talk about where that will lead us in terms of phase three. So just diving into a little bit more detail on what is included in phase two. This is a little bit of a dense flow chart, but I'll start on the left-hand side. Phase one is off the page, right? Phase one has already occurred, and we, pending approval of this framework, will begin on the left-hand side with the analysis and action. And the analysis associated with this first step is really for staff to evaluate and make a recommendation to the board as to whether or not to pursue either of these options, either an internal reuse option or an external reuse option. That will include, and should this be approved, we would come back to you with analysis that includes detailed existing condition analysis, existing needs assessment across the district, and of course, some degree of an external potential evaluation so that we might weigh our options, so to speak, in service to a recommendation. These red dots that you see on the graphic indicate decision points at which the board will have an opportunity, be presented with our analysis, be presented with a recommendation, have an opportunity to engage openly and publicly, and help guide the process one step further. So just to further discuss this graphic, should we pass that milestone and, for simplicity's sake, go on the internal reuse pathway, you'll see on the graphic, the next step is community engagement. We're going to talk about this more later, but right off the bat, I want to highlight the fact that community engagement is included in either pathway. So should we pursue an internal reuse of an existing property in a different fashion, community engagement would be expected and is prescribed in this framework. Ultimately then, internal analysis, again, including a variety of needs assessments, renovations perhaps to the existing property, or other value propositions would return back to the board, again, for potential action with a recommendation. So the board will have an opportunity to review the assessment and recommendation and take formal public action on any reuse final scenario. It also describes in the framework that can change over time. That step is required, but as circumstances change over time, departments' needs change, and a future scenario might warrant that reevaluation of internal reuse as an option. But to get through this pathway the first time, that's what it looks like. Rewinding back to the internal-external decision point, if the action of the board is to pursue external reuse, we'd engage on the top line. You can see, of course, that includes community engagement as well, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But somewhat concurrently, you will also see a baseline information dossier, a property profile and assessment. A detailed list of existing info related to the property will be developed and published for the public to review. Also, concurrently, there will be a public notice of opportunity or a call for a proposal. So while we are engaging with the public on a variety of fronts about how we might reuse this property with external partnerships, we're also semi-formally calling for industry and agency proposals on how we might reimagine and reuse this property going forward. Ultimately, all of that information will be synthesized into a recommendation and presented to the board on the right-hand side of this process as well, in terms of what options and what pathway to take next. Again, culminating with that board action signified by the red dot. So just zooming in a little bit on a couple of key elements of this pathway, we'll next look at the phased community engagement process. So this is pretty typical, I would say, but also of such importance to this process that we wanted to spell it out in this much detail. So phase one, we talk about notification and awareness. Of course, we want to make sure everyone is aware of our intentions and the opportunity and the process going forward. I wanted to highlight this because it's not our typical stakeholders. We're fairly practiced at communicating with our families and the people who really are engaged in our school community. In this instance, it's maybe residents in the surrounding neighborhoods who don't necessarily have school-age children and aren't necessarily plugged into the school district's goings-on. It's developers in our community. It's nonprofits serving youth. It's other agency partners who aren't as practiced at reviewing potential opportunities to respond to proposals or responding to them at all. So really wanted to highlight that, and we're going to take special care to make sure that that awareness and notification is appropriately distributed. Phase two, a centralized information portal. We have a strong website today regarding our repurposing and closed school efforts, and we think that's the right place to build upon. We also saw a number of great examples from districts across the nation who are going through similar processes, who have robust centralized information portals through the internet where folks can get a single source of facts. The community input and the community listening sessions could best be understood as sort of virtual and in-person. So whether there's surveys, whether there's online opportunities for people to provide comments or input, ask questions, et cetera, that will be included, as well as in-person community listening sessions to better understand the needs of the community at these sites. And then, of course, the synthesis of all of this information from a qualitative standpoint into the final recommendation in step 5. That community engagement process will be playing out in either internal or external reuse scenarios But in an external reuse scenario, we are going to add on this additional step that is more qualitative in nature. We're going to be compiling what we're calling a baseline site dossier, basically a project site information packet that will be as comprehensive as possible, primarily focusing on existing conditions and facts related to the property. We will also be developing and issuing a call for proposals that I described earlier that will outline the scope, outline the evaluation criteria, really what the district is seeking from the community and from the public. And that is very much also intended to help stimulate our thinking around what is possible and what the market and what the community can deliver rather than just more qualitative community input. So that will be highly structured and issued somewhat as a typical RFP would. However, it would be non-binding in nature. So we'll be expecting proposals, we'll evaluate them, we'll score them, and we'll include that in our final report and recommendation. Again, all of this is in service to a final recommendation that is informed by community engagement, that is informed by site-based facts, and that is informed by community proposals, leading us to a recommendation that will take us into a legal framework. And so the state law prescribes rather narrowly the manner in which school districts in the state can transact or sell or lease our property. And that, depending on that outcome, that recommendation will take us over into the realm of our attorneys in the last couple of slides in this deck. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Deputy Chief General Counsel Kevin Pick. Thanks, Adam. So really the value and the lesson here in this final slide on the actual framework is really at the conclusion of this process, the final recommendation will be brought before the board for decision. If it's an internal reuse or if it's an external sale or repurposing, it always comes back to the board for a final decision. Final decision, if it's internal reuse, board action is required. External sale or repurposing, board action is required. Further study or just a temporary pause in decisions based on what's happening at the site, board decision is required. And so now from that, the final decision on if it's external sale or repurposing, that's really a jumping off point to where Nevada law takes over. So we talked about the what are we going to do, now we're going to talk about the how are we going to do it. And with this, I'm going to bring it back to slide 5 just to put this into perspective. Now, we have it as the legal process is phase 3 on the right-hand side here. And as Adam really well described, phase 1, we've already decided through the school consolidation process that we are about to have a vacant property. Phase 2 is what do we do with that vacant property? Phase 3, as I said, is exactly how do we get there to fully execute it so that our goal is fully accomplished. And I'll bring it back up here. Now this legal framework really only applies to external sales or repurposing when we do it, if we remember the top arrow. If it's internal sale or internal reuse or repurposing, then we already own the property. We don't need to do anything with it under Nevada law. So this really only takes place if it's external reuse or external resale. So I think we can see here that if the decision ultimately by the board is for a sale or lease to a private party, then NRS Chapter 393 takes over. It's a very involved chapter, has a very specific process that is required. There's 2 appraisals of the property, there's multiple board resolutions, and it ultimately culminates in a opening of bids at a public meeting and an opportunity for it even to receive oral bids at a public meeting. And then following that, there'll be a resolution. So if it's a external sale to a public agency or a lease to a public agency, you still have to do the appraisals. There'll be a board resolution. So there's multiple points of board action is required in this process too. But there's no public bidding in this. It's just, it actually rather comes back before the board with an agendized meeting that the public has noticed that, hey, this will be considered on this date. Come and object to the property or support the property or the decision, and then that's what's required under 277. The last one is if it's a conveyance to another public agency for a public purpose, it's an even shorter process that's involved. It's essentially just a contract negotiation at that point that would be authorized by the board. There'll be public meetings to then approve the contract, and then the parties execute a contract for that specific scenario. Now, we'll finish with the superintendent's recommendation here. You know, as Adam and Deputy Superintendent McMaster said, we really used other school districts as an inspiration, but I think we really built something from the ground floor here, and we really wanted a process that was transparent and fair, but also really a smart process to help not only staff, but the board make really informed decisions about what happens on these community properties. We're happy to answer any questions, but I'd just like to, again, thank the whole team who worked on this, Superintendent Ernst, Deputy Superintendent McMaster, Adam, Michelle Anderson, Tammy Zimmerman, Doug Owen, and Mark Mathers. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Pick. Before we do that, JJ, do we have any public comment on items 3.03?
I have no cards for this item.
Okay, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. Any questions for our staff?
I do.
Trustee Phoenix.
Just real short and sweet, and right to the point. Hey, thanks for doing thorough work. I know that the NRS guides us and you gave us those options, but also that you're including the community engagement, you know, the way that it's listed out, the way it's in the policy, way you referenced all that. Also explaining the evaluation process, the criteria process that you're looking at, that criteria evaluation process that you kind of roundabout went and didn't directly say it, but you kind of, you know, spelled it out for us right there. So I appreciate that, so that the public can really understand how we came to this decision and why are we making it. And I just want to tell you, thank you for that. I appreciate that thorough brief.
Yeah, I echo those comments on community engagement too, to start that process early. We know how the rumor mill works in this community and in some of our neighborhoods, so lots of emphasis on that from my perspective. Vice President Woodley.
Mr. President, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, I'll take it.
All right, I move that the Board of Trustees approves and adopts the reuse and disposition framework for closed schools as a standardized process to guide all future district decisions regarding the reuse, repurposing, partnership opportunities, or disposition of closed or decommissioned school facilities.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion from Vice President Woodley, a second from Clerk Hall on approving item 3.03 as stated. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Searcy, and thank you, Mr. Pick. Okay, thank you, sir. Item 3.04 is presentation item only. Presentation discussion on the proposed interview process, including question development, evaluation framework, and Board of Trustees consideration of the board's interview of Deputy Superintendent Tiffany McMaster and consideration of possible appointment of superintendent at the May 12, 2026 board meeting. Our presenter is Doug Owen, Chief Human Resources Officer. Good afternoon, Mr. Owen.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, President Mayberry, Superintendent Ernst when he returns. Thank you. For the record, my name is Doug Owen, your Chief Human Resources Officer, and thank you for having me back today. Today, I just wanted to quickly walk through the purpose of what we are putting in front of you today. So this is to provide you with a formal process overview of what the interview process will look like for next week or 2 weeks from now at your board meeting. I will say it's not written on the slide, but I look forward to any feedback or any input that you have so I can incorporate that into this process. So. Yeah, we will get there, and hopefully some deliberation will take place, and I can take some of that input. So 2 weeks ago, you all had chosen and selected the option to interview Deputy Superintendent McMaster. This gives you an opportunity to do a formal interview, and I'm going to just walk through a little bit of the structure, which I pulled from prior superintendent searches, including your own search that you did 2 years ago, as well as some other counties around the state. Clark just went through a search as well and an interview process. So I've pulled those together to craft what this proposed process looks like. The question development process, so each trustee, I've sent you all an email, of course, asking you for questions that you would like to ask. Each trustee would submit 2 proposed questions. The guidance there is just to help you focus on what you're looking for, leadership, readiness, avoiding hypothetical questions, if you will. The situation behavior outcome model is geared in a way that your question should be structured to tell me about a time when you did this. And that allows the candidate to provide you with a response that's more open-ended rather than, do you have any weaknesses? No. And you move on, right? That would not be a good interview question. So please don't send me that. The second bit here is after you all submit your proposed interview questions, at the same time, actually, we are seeking community input on what they would like to ask the deputy superintendent. So we will disaggregate that information in the survey to identify if those individuals are students, parents, family members, maybe a WCSD employee and a parent. So we can then take those questions and craft together what the survey gives us in terms of questions they would like to ask. We will identify some themes. So if they're all asking the same question, and then we will give that question to one of you all. And in the case, when we do this theme identification, we will consolidate these into core themes that will then inform the evaluation rubric. So these themes I put such as here because these are not set in stone. If all of your questions are more geared to something that's not listed here, then that will become a theme. The HR will kind of put these questions together and then assign you all your questions. Now, if you have two wonderful questions, one of you has already submitted me your questions, then you will, of course, just have those two questions. If you submit one, you may be able to ask the question on behalf of the community or ask the question on behalf of the parents. So you may get one of those questions. So if you're thinking, man, I can only come up with one question, I have a second one for you that will be from the community survey. The final question set will be about 10 to 14 questions, so depending on all of your feedback. One of those questions, again, would come from the students, so perhaps our student representative could ask a question, depending on if it's Peyton, if you're here. And then maybe a question from staff, parents, and one from just the general public. Each question would reflect one or more themes that would be included and tied into the evaluation rubric. And the questions, the reason why I'm going through them is to avoid any duplication. I wouldn't want all 7 of you to ask the same questions. That wouldn't make any sense. Finally, there's a little bit of board interview norms here. So it would be a structured round robin format. You did this 2 years ago where you kind of just alternated who asked what questions, and I think it got all the way to the far end of the dais, and then it went back, is kind of how it was structured. You ask each of your own questions. You can ask a follow-up question that may be needed for clarification, but it shouldn't be a third separate question that you're asking. So if the candidate gives you a response and you say, well, hold on a minute, what did you mean when you said X? You can, of course, ask those types of follow-up questions. I would ask you to avoid potentially confidential or legally sensitive matters in your follow-up questions, right? Like, what was the outcome of that pending litigation? We don't know that yet, so please avoid that. The candidate, of course, will be prepared and given the interview structure and the timing. The questions will be provided on a piece of paper, so she has an opportunity to read through them. And then just general expectations for her. She will be able to provide an opening statement, and I'm actually going to switch to the next slide because I duplicated these slides a little bit. We'll be able to give a candidate opening statement that should last approximately 5 to 10 minutes. Your questions, if they last 3 to 5 minutes, would only take 50 minutes. If it goes longer, you will be going longer. So that's why we don't have 21 questions on the docket. And then the candidate closing statement, of course. A general question will be asked by President Mayberry. Anything else you would like to add or a concluding statement for your interview. After which you all get to deliberate and discuss what your path forward will be. So there is an evaluation framework. Again, these evaluation criteria are subject to change based on your actual questions. These are some of the themes that have been used in other superintendent hiring processes. so I just included them here for your awareness and for you to consider as you're trying to craft your questions. And then finally, after you conduct your interview and you have your deliberations, you will be presented with an option to either proceed with an appointment, request additional information, or defer your decision. And then you could potentially direct us to do a search at the end of the day. So the intent here and this interview process is to help you gather the information you need to make an informed decision. It is not an opportunity, I would say, to ask 100 questions. That's not the intent. We want you to get to what you're trying to evaluate. And that just brings you back to the board agenda and title. I would, again, implore you to, if you have any discussion topics or any input, I would gladly accept that now so that I can inform the process and inform the questions that we're developing.
This is a presentation and discussion only, so we can't give direction to our chief HR officer related to this, and you cannot deliberate and kind of come to a consensus of what you would see. So clarifying questions are okay with his presentation, but please don't take any form of what could potentially be an action related to this item.
Yeah, comment from my perspective. This process is really no different than what we've done twice in the last 4 years, only with multiple candidates. The only difference here, I think, is we're adding some community input from staff, from the community. So I think that's important. And we heard a lot about, at the last meeting, transparency about the process. So that's one reason why we're having this discussion, so everybody sees this is a transparent process. So thank you for your presentation. Any clarifying questions, as the General Counsel pointed out to Mr. Owen? Okay. We're in good shape. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Take the rest of the day off.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that's your.
Mr. President, if I may, Mr. President, point of order. Mr. President.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would just wanted to request of you if we could go to the next action items. I know we have some board members that have to leave.
Yeah.
And I know the next item is a discussion only. Thank you.
Okay. We've had some folks waiting too, honestly. I'm gonna just, if I may, Vice President Woodley, I'm gonna stay the course with 3.05 because I know we've had some folks that have been waiting here for that, and I'm still here. I don't need to leave in another 40 minutes, so I think if we can, we're gonna go ahead and pursue with the agenda. As is. So 3.05 is a presentation and discussion on the middle school and high school international baccalaureate programs. Presenter is Chris Hackbush, Chief of Secondary Academics, and I will allow him to introduce all the presenters.
We have a few presentations this evening. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Good afternoon, President Mayberry, Superintendent Ernst, and Board of Trustees. My name is Chris Hackbush, Chief Academic Officer for Secondary Education, and I am here to kick us off on a presentation on International Baccalaureate. Our staff with us, joining us today to present, will be Area Superintendent Melinda Baker, Secondary Academics and Assessment Director Nicole Johnson, Principal of Worcester High School Mr. David Kitchen, and Principal of Vaughn Middle School Mandy Lopakowitz. They will present on an International Baccalaureate, which is another chapter in the overall portfolio of student choice for Washoe County School District. The IB program provides all students a choice that advances Washoe County School District's strategic plan, Goal 5, empowering all learners for their future. by providing access and opportunity to rigorous, globally recognized learning experiences that develop the academic critical thinking and leadership skills students need to thrive in college careers in an ever-changing world. A little history for you that I learned from Principal Lubkowitz recently. In the 1960s, IB was created by international diplomats assigned and moving between countries so they could provide their own kids a standardized, rigorous, and high-quality educational experience. Fun fact, you may notice through this presentation a European flair with some of the spelling of certain words on this presentation, like program with an extra M and E, maths versus math, and analyze with an S instead of a Z. I now turn the presentation over to our new Director of Academics and Assessment, Ms. Nicole Johnson.
Good afternoon, President Mayberry, Superintendent Ernst, and the Board of Trustees. What you'll see on the screen here is the IB Learner Profile. This profile describes a broad range of human capacities and responsibilities that go beyond academic success. They imply a commitment to help all members of the school community to learn to respect themselves, others, and the world around them. This learner profile gives attention to the whole child. It focuses on having a balanced focus on academics, social and emotional learning, and physical well-being, and is internationally and globally minded. The IB's programs are different from other curricula because they encourage students of all ages to think critically and challenge assumptions. When we say students of all ages, we're talking about a range of 4 different programs. So the IB actually has a program called the Primary Years Program that starts with the age of 3 to the age of 12. In our district, we don't currently offer that program, but we do offer the next 3 programs that I'll discuss. The Middle Years Program is for ages 11 to 16. The Diploma Program is for ages 16 to 19, so we're talking about our juniors and our seniors. And then the career-related program also for juniors and seniors ages 16 to 19. One of the highlighted characteristics on this slide pays attention to incorporating quality practice from research. And you'll hear a little bit more about that throughout this presentation, exactly what that means. Another key characteristic is that the IB develops multilingual students. So as part of a required component of the middle years program, the diploma program, and the career-related program, students have to take a required language component. So on to college and career readiness. So average credit attainment across U.S. colleges and universities is between 18 and 30 credits, but every college and university is a bit different on that. For example, at UNR, they grant credit for IB higher level exam scores of 4s or higher and grant some course equivalency for that. UNR also grants credit for IB standard level exam scores of 5 or higher for 25 different electives, 4 different languages, and Physics 100. But when we look at another local college, TMCC, they're just a little bit different. So TMCC takes up to 24 units for exams that are passed through IB, and those have to have a minimum score of 4 or higher. What's different than UNR is TMCC does not grant any credit for standard level examinations. So that's just an example for you locally on the differences. As of March of 2026, there's over 8,000 programs that are offered across 6,100 schools and in 160 countries. In the United States, there's almost 1,900 IB schools. And when we look at some similar districts of our size, so kind of lower end, a little bit of higher end, about 57,000 to 68,000, every single district has an IB program, some having multiple programs in high school. And when I say program, I'm talking about the diploma program specifically. Students earning the IB diploma are competitive for university admission and scholarships around the world. And example acceptance rates when we look at our top 25 U.S. universities, starting with our recent NCAA March Madness men's basketball champions, the University of Michigan. So they have a 70.8 rate of acceptance for students who completed an IB diploma program. And that's in comparison to 28.6% general acceptance. So I think that's a pretty large difference there. Also, another large difference would be looking at acceptance rates at the University of Chicago. So 60.3% of students who complete an IB diploma program are accepted versus 7.9% general. So there's definitely some vast differences. And when we look at Worcester High School graduates over the last 2 years, we've had students go off to Princeton. Multiple students were accepted at Stanford, UC San Diego, UCLA, University of San Diego, Cal Poly, UC Berkeley. The list goes on, and even further beyond 2 to 3 years. We're talking about Dartmouth, Georgetown, George Mason University, USC. So this program is incredible for a college preparatory program. So International Baccalaureate is here in our district at Worcester High School and Vaughn Middle School. We have a diploma program that was authorized in 1997 at Worcester. We have a career-related program also authorized at Worcester in 2014. And middle years program it happens at both sites, authorized in 2016. And I will turn this over to Ms. Melinda Baker.
Good afternoon, President Mayberry, Superintendent Ernst, and esteemed Board of Trustees. I am Melinda Baker, the very proud area superintendent who gets to support and serve both of our IB schools. We are very, very fortunate to have two highly skilled leaders at both of our schools. Principal David Kitchen actually served for 4 years at IB World School American School Foundation in Mexico City. Before joining us here in Washoe County School District. He's had a couple of roles here, but most recently he's been our principal at Worcester High School for the last 3 years. And then Principal Mandy Lapkowitz served for 10 years as the IB head of school for Rory Martin Middle School, which is in Clark County. So significant time spent there. And then 6 years here in our district as the principal at Vaughn Middle School. And then Principal Lapkowitz is also an IB certified evaluation leader, an IB certified consultant, and an IB certified workshop leader. So between the two of them, we have a powerhouse of expertise. So what they are going to do is they're going to provide you an overview of what IB looks like within Washoe County School District, which is accessible by all of our learners here in the district. So go for it.
Thank you. President Mayberry, Superintendent Ernst, members of the board. My name is David Kitchen. I'm the principal, very proud principal at Worcester High School, so thank you for the opportunity to share this evening. I have to shout out, we have a few of our teachers and coordinators who've been sticking around to support us, so thank you guys. Appreciate it. Some of you know this. I actually, before I started at Worcester, served for 3 years at TMCC High School as the principal. And I loved serving there. It's another legacy, just really advanced academic program in our district. The first high school in our district to offer dual credit. I bring that up because I really believe in dual credit in Washoe County School District, and I also really love and believe in IB. And I think one of the beauties of our district is students have choice when they have opportunities to participate in these different programs. I want to mention when Nicole was talking about quality practice from research, translating that to Washoe County School District speak, we're talking about quality research-based Tier 1 instruction. In my 3 years at Worcester High School, I have really seen, even before my time, how the two schools, Worcester and Vaughn, have helped lead the way and been early adopters with some of the innovative programs that we offer in our district. Just some examples, both schools are consistent with interdisciplinary units. We have standardized grading that utilizes rubrics, and our grade books are also aligned with those standards. Multiple opportunities for students to demonstrate mastery when they take courses, early adopters of implementing teacher clarity, and then the only secondary program right now in Northern Nevada that actually offers bilingual education. Speaking first about our IB diploma program, this is the program that's been around the longest. We're getting ready to celebrate our 30th anniversary next year. And the IB diploma program, when people in the community think IB at Worcester, this is generally what they think about. They think about the diploma program. Only for juniors and seniors. Students select to be in the diploma program, so it is a smaller subset of our larger student body. We have students that we encourage who've kind of come up in-house to be in the program, and then students who choose to attend Worcester who are zoned for other schools who participate in the diploma program. To be in the diploma program, you're completing 6 academic subject groups over the course of 2 years. 3 of those courses are completed at the higher level, at least 3 of them, and then 3 of them can be completed at the standard level. And then in addition, you complete the diploma program core, which is theory of knowledge, the extended essay, and creativity, activity, and service. One of the things that sets the diploma program apart are assessment practices. And speaking specifically between IB and AP, there's some pretty significant differences. Really, the IB diploma courses emphasize, once again, multiple opportunities for students to demonstrate mastery, so it's not just one test at the end. Students do an internal assessment component, which they complete in class. It's graded by the teacher. This could be an extended project or an essay or a lab activity. And then those are graded, moderated, and sampled by the IB, so to make sure our teachers are grading legit. And then in addition to the internal assessment, we have external assessments. These are the classic like IB exams that you take at the end of a course, so we're getting ready to start them actually this week. Those are multiple exams for each course, 2 to 3 typically. They are open-ended papers, not multiple choice, where students respond to open-ended questions, and then those exams are sent off to IB examiners who grade them, and then that combines with their internal assessment to give them the score for the course. Wanted to highlight some of our Worcester course offerings that we currently offer. So you can see the different subject groups. I'm not going to read them all. We have Group 1, which is Studies in Language and Literature. Group 2, which is Language Acquisition. Group 3, which is Individuals and Societies. I do want to highlight specifically Spanish Literature, which is in Group 1. We are in the 5th year of offering this course, and this is a university-level literary analysis course where students are reading novels, reading poetry, writing essays, and this is a course that is fully implemented in Spanish. So imagine you're in Mexico City, going to a university, taking a course in literature. That's this course, right? I highlight it because this was really the beginning of us expanding at Worcester High School bilingual opportunities for our students. So we now have many opportunities in grades 9 and 10 for students to take core academic subjects in Spanish, with the idea that more students would be prepared for the Spanish literature course, and ultimately that we are graduating students who are not just have spoken bilingual fluency, but are fully biliterate and ready to go out into the workforce fully biliterate in English and Spanish. Groups 4, 5, and 6 are the sciences, mathematics, and then the arts. Students are allowed to pick a second course from groups 1 through 5 instead of doing a course from group 6. And then finally, we have the IB Core. Theory of Knowledge is a course that takes place over 3 semesters that digs deep into how we know what we know. The extended essay is kind of like a mini thesis project, so students independently come up with a research question, conduct that research. It culminates with a paper that's usually about 4,000 words. Students present on their research. So just one of those pieces of the program that really, really prepares students for that university experience. And then we have students completing a portfolio that tracks creativity, activity, and service projects over 18 months. Before I go on, I want to mention that we have many students at Worcester who choose to participate in a variety of these courses and not fully be in the IB diploma program. That is actually where we've seen the most growth with students participating in IB over the past 3 years. So many students who decide, hey, I want a taste of what it's like to take a university level course, and they're taking 1 or 2 or 3 of these courses and maybe not fully completing the diploma program. And then I'll talk about our career-related program. This is a very unique and one of the lesser known, although it has been around for a while in our district, going on 12 years now, but a unique opportunity for students to blend taking IB diploma courses with completing a CTE pathway. So to complete the career-related program, we have students do at least 2 diploma program courses. They have to complete a CTE pathway, and then they have to complete the CP Core, which is a course on personal professional skills, service learning. Once again, there's that language component, which at Worcester typically means they're taking a foreign language class, and then a reflective project. So once again, really just unique opportunity for students who want to take diploma courses and then blend that with one of our amazing CTE pathways at our school. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Principal Lockowitz, who's going to talk about the middle years program that is really just a bridge, an amazing partnership between our 2 schools.
President Mayberry, Superintendent Ernst, Board of Trustees. My name is Mandy Lobkowitz, and I am the proud principal of the Vaughn Eagles. I'm here to give you an overview of the MYP and just highlight a few of the differences between the MYP and the DP and CP at Worcester. MYP is for grades 6 through 10, so we have 6, 7, and 8 at Vaughn, grades 9 and 10 at Worcester. It's one program, we're under one authorization from the IB. So what's the difference between MYP, CP, and DP and all the letters? DP and CP are 11th grade, and those are programs where the students have to apply and choose to participate in the program. So they're small subsets of the school. Where MYP is all-inclusive, all students participate in the MYP, especially at Vaughn and Worcester. The MYP builds a solid academic foundation so that students are ready for whatever they decide to do next. It might be IB, it might be something else, but it's a very solid foundation for whatever choice or opportunity comes their way. The MYP develops students' confidence so that they can manage their own learning, like the NEPF, the new teacher evaluation system that's in the near future, IL Standard 4. The MYP has 8 required subjects. They're not specific courses or a scripted curriculum that we teach to the student. It's 8 required subject areas. It's a framework through or a lens through which we teach the NVACs. So it's how we do what we do. The content is the same, with the exception of a few major differences. All students have the opportunity to take a world language. At Vaughn, we offer Spanish and Spanish literacy. All students take a fine arts course. All students take an IB design class, which is the scientific design cycle. So in 2026, that's robotics, coding, you might see drones. You also, in the last year or two, working with Clark and Sullivan, we've had students focusing on environmental design competitions. The biggest thing is the opportunity for students to take all 3 of these courses. It's not a choice where they take one or the other. They get all 3 of those in addition to the regular courses. 2 other components of the MYP are services action and the personal project. Services action is kind of community service or action. It's an action that students take based on what they're learning in the classroom. So an example would be learn about fire. Students might create a public service announcement on fire prevention and then share it with an elementary class. So it's taking action on what they're learning. The personal project is a culminating project at the end of the MYP. So for us in our partnership, it's in grade 10. It's a 10 to 15 page essay with an oral presentation. And again, students get the choice. They can present in any language that they choose to. This year, about a week and a half ago, we walked 175 Vaughn Eagles down the road, right across Kitski. We had help from school police to get us there. And we went and viewed the projects that the Worcester 10th graders had on show for us. And it was inspirational. So this ends our presentation and celebration of the IB programs at Vaughn and Worcester. I can't tell you how excited we are to be here tonight and have the opportunity to showcase this fabulous program. Thank you.
Well, we're excited to have you all here tonight, too. Thank you for your time and your due diligence on this. Any questions from, yes, Clerk Hull?
Thank you. You know I can't help myself when it comes to curriculum, sorry. If we could just go back to the slide that said IB characteristics, I believe it's 4. That one, yes, thank you. Well, this isn't entirely a question. I just want to call this out that I think it's amazing that these are the ideas that drive the instruction, but I also just want to call out that this should drive all of our instruction in the entire district, and it shouldn't say that it's different. Like, I just want to call that out because we should be encouraging all of our students to think critically. We should absolutely be developing multilingual students, and I know that we have an item to approve new curriculum for that next, so I love that, but I saw that and I just wanted to call that out. My question for you is, I know that the numbers have gone down a bit, and I know you all provided some numbers for us, and I really appreciate the addition of the students who take a class or two, because I think that's an incredibly important piece, that maybe not all kids feel that they can handle the full program, but they have access to the program. So my question for you is, it looks like you two have an incredible communication process and you work really hard at building this program. So what are we doing as a district to encourage more students to come to this program and take a class or two or more, as in do the whole program?
I think what it starts with is awareness. And so that's part of why we're here today, is we want to get the word out on the amazing advanced opportunities that we have in our district and really market to our school of choice. We want our families, our kids, to have the best possible opportunities that will allow them to access all the way through an international potential, if that's what's on their plan for their life. And so I think this is where it starts today, is us really amping up this process to get on the map and make sure we get this known across our community and district.
Awesome. I have one more. Sorry. I believe I heard that we're looking into offering ASL as well at Vaughn, so hopefully trying.
On my bucket list. I would leave it on the bucket list. We do currently have a program with, it's not an official program, but we welcome many UNR future interns.
Okay.
Because of the shortage, so it's on the bucket list, but there's nothing in the works yet.
Okay, I will do a shameless brag of how important I think it is for us to offer a language like ASL. My son is a high functioning on the spectrum child who's genius, but doing a world language for him is incredibly difficult. His brain just doesn't work like that, but ASL really works for him. And the one thing that he said after interviewing President Mayberry several years ago for a project was, I love that I can advocate for other people who have disabilities by doing ASL. So I just want to put a plug in that I would love to see us offering ASL, because I think it's an opportunity for kids who cannot handle another language but want to learn a language but still use English for the most part. So just want to plug that. Thank you. I appreciate you bearing with me with my questions. And I will still come visit, I promise.
Please.
I did get your email, I promise.
Can I add, we are adding after-school clubs, and we've hired additional signing staff members this year to be there for next year. So we're moving forward. We just don't have the full 5 years yet for language.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Hall. Trustee Phoenix.
Just a quick question there. Oh, first of all, thank you for all the hard work you're doing. Demonstrated in a very detailed brief. Again, that's 2 in a row, very detailed brief, answers all your questions. You don't have too many. The only one that I had was on your outcome data, how many graduation rates, college credits, things like that. The outcome, just to demonstrate your work. Do you have any of that handy? And if you don't, just in the future, it'd be awesome to see. So you can just, obviously, you're just demonstrating what you're actually doing. And, when people see that, they're beyond doubt, here we go. What else do you want to read?
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have specific outcome data prepared for tonight other than what Nicole shared, which is just seeing our students applying to some top universities around not just the country, but the world. And feedback, I'll tell you anecdotally that we hear from the Honors College at UNR, where we have often our diploma students who stay here and go to UNR, that those are just some of the most well-prepared students for that program at UNR. But that's something we could look at getting you some more data in the future.
Oh, no, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll hear from Trustee Westlake, and then if there's no other questions, we will take a break. Go ahead, Trustee Westlake.
Thank you, President Mayberry. So bouncing off of what Trustee Phoenix just said, and I can't quote the studies, but I know I've read numerous studies, just to develop multilingual students. There's so many studies out there showing that children that have at least immersed themselves a little bit in another language, they generally do better scoring, participating in classwork, just higher. It opens up windows to learn another language. So I think the program having the multilingual aspect to it is going to lend itself to the kids that are doing that to be doing better. And also learning another language, it just makes a more empathetic human being towards others that are different, because you're not just learning the language, you also immerse yourself in a different culture and learn about that culture. So my hat's off to you guys. I think this is wonderful. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. We really appreciate hearing about the programs. It's really enlightening. Thank you for all you're doing for our students and families. Thank you. Okay, folks. We're going to take a bit of a break, about 10, 15 minutes, and then we will return, and Vice President Woodley will preside over the rest of the meeting.
Thank you. We are resuming the meeting at 16:33. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is 3.06, presentation, discussion, and possible action to approve the award request for proposal number 60P-10-26-MS, World Language Instructional Materials Adoption to Carnegie Learning, Lingo Language Labs Incorporated, Vista Higher Learning, and Wayside Publishing for a term of 7 years, beginning July 1st of 2026. The presenters today before us is Nicole Johnson and Kendra Fox. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Vice President Woodley, Superintendent Ernst, and our Board of Trustees. I'm Nicole Johnson. I am the Director of Secondary Academics and Assessment. Today, I'm seeking approval to adopt and purchase materials that support instruction in Chinese, French, German, Spanish, Spanish for heritage speakers, advanced placement language and culture for French, German, and Spanish, advanced placement Spanish literature and culture, and international baccalaureate Chinese and Spanish. This process is consistent with Board Policy 6160. We started this adoption process in the fall of 2025. A request for proposal for world language instructional materials was issued on October 30th of 2025. A committee was selected and trained October through December of 2025, and stakeholder groups reviewed materials from January 12th through February 15th of 2026. From that process, there were 6 materials for consideration for us to use. A meeting was held in February to compare evidence from the review, where committee members looked at the depth of standards, scope and sequence, alignment to curriculum framework, organization of materials, teacher and student supports, and how usable and engaging the materials were. Programs were sent to public comment for 3 weeks in February for all stakeholders. Teachers field tested the materials and solicited student input during that time as well. A meeting was then held in March to review all new evidence, and the committee chose the program from Lingo Language Labs for French, German, and Spanish, Vista Higher Learning for middle school Spanish, Carnegie Learning for Chinese, and Wayside Publishing for AP Spanish Literature. So when we looked at some of the student comments, middle school students liked that the Vista program was easy to use and had relevant graphics and relevant content. High school students overwhelmingly chose Lingo for French, German, and Spanish. And it's always fun to look at the comments. So just to give you a range of some of the comments, high school students commented, "It's fire." It was low-key, pretty aight. And then other comments were, "It was good," and gave good examples on how to do whatever the assignment asked. Another student said, "Pretty good. Good user interface. Activities were good." And another student said, "The articles are just challenging enough, but not too easy, and it teaches you some valuable insights. It's a lot more fun than the other program." So, all right, we'll take it. The funding for this purchase, if approved, would be from the general funds. The next steps, should funding be approved, would be to purchase the materials, work on internal curriculum and pacing guides, and provide training for teachers and administrators. And I just want to point out again, Miss Ellen Badger has been hard at work this season with instructional materials review. So I would sincerely want to thank her as our instructional materials specialist as she organizes this entire process. And this time it was in conjunction with Melissa Carson, who is our world language specialist. And so between the two of them and our entire committee, their dedication and time throughout this process really is in excess of 40 hours. And I truly want to thank all of those educators for trying to find our kids the best materials for world languages. And today, I just want to thank you for your consideration to adopt and purchase the materials today.
Awesome, thank you very much. Do I have any board members have any comments or questions?
I have a curiosity question. So the students that are chosen, how do you identify the students?
So as far as the field testing, so traditionally it comes from the teachers who are on the committee. And so they will agree then to take the materials back to field test. That's most often how the materials get into different hands across the district. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm curious what schools we're offering Chinese, French, and German at.
Great question. So as far as Chinese, we have one Chinese teacher at Worcester, who we just heard from. French is offered across a few different schools. Most of our high schools, yes, coming to mind right out the gate is Reed and Sparks High School. I know we have a couple more programs, just not off the top of my head.
That's okay if you don't know all of them. I'm just curious.
Yes, and German, I'd have to double check on that. McQueen, thank you. McQueen.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
think that's it.
I would just add that Debbie Smith is adding a Chinese program next year also.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
JG, do we have any public comment?
I have no cards for this item.
All right. Have any other questions or comments? If not, then I am looking for a motion, please.
I would love to make the motion. Seeing that foreign language is so important for our kids. I mean, it's just absolutely an important aspect. Here we go. I move that the Board of Trustees approves the request for proposal, RFP 60-P-10-26-MS World Language Instructional Materials Adoption to Carnegie Learning, Chinese, Linko Language Labs Incorporated, French, German, and Spanish, Vista Higher Learning, Middle School Spanish, and Wayside Publishing, AP Spanish Literature for a term of 7 years beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2033 for the approximate amount of $2,925,000. Thank you.
And I'll second.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. I'll just stay seated if that's okay. I'm here again. Yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is 3.0.
Yes, happy to be here. Yes.
There you go. 3.07, this is a presentation, discussion, and possible action for the board to approve, modify, or deny the restart of Encompass Academy Charter School under a new charter contract with increased monitoring by Washoe County School District staff to include site visits twice per year, once in the fall and once in the spring, and for Encompass Academy to follow all recommendations in the educational consultant's recommendations. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, and we have Kendra Fox is already here, and Rochelle Proctor, and Mr. Hackbush, I think, is back there somewhere. Thank you.
Somewhere. Good afternoon, Vice President Woodley, Superintendent Ertz, and who's remaining of the trustees this evening? Just a few. So we're here to share with you the review and recharter process for Encompass Academy. So what brought us to this juncture, of course, is grounded in the legal requirement of NRS 388A, .300 and SB 460. As we reviewed early in November when we saw you last, a charter school must be terminated or restarted after 3 consecutive years of lowest performance rating, and that's why we're here. There was some exceptions, but in this instance, this didn't fit the school. So it was decided that we would look at the restart option for Encompass. And under the restart option, they would, if approved, they would restart, because technically they would be like a brand new charter for 6 years. So a little timeline of the rechartering process after November, when we were given the go-ahead. December 15th, we presented the school with a recharter application and the rubrics that we would be using, the district would be using to score them. Moving to the 30th, that's when they had the super recommendation, their recommendations, their due date. We had the recharter applications due in middle of February, and Nicole will go into more detail about those. shortly. So towards the end of February, middle of March, we reviewed, district staff reviewed their recharter applications, then turned them back around and provided that information to the charters to Encompass to review. On the 8th, Encompass was provided the opportunity to present to the district's review staff and clarify any questions that our staff might have had on their application and provide any further information of perhaps what they had gained during the process. And then which brings us to today, our board meeting for review and decision. So again, restarting a charter, it's basically like starting a brand new charter school, and we'd be offering a 6-year charter term. Moving into focusing on Encompass. Just a little background. I know we shared this in November. This was the messaging timeline before. There was a lot of district work and communication with Encompass. I think it's important to know that we started back in December of 2024 and those meetings with the school. And which brings us to those recommendations that occurred in November, and the school had to conduct a diagnostic review, had to retain an academic consultant. They also had to share with their stakeholders that where they were and perhaps what could happen to them, which would include their students, staff, and families, and they completed that as well. All the above had to be completed by January 30th to continue on with the application process, and they did successfully meet all of those deadlines. Nicole is going to go over more detail about the recharter process and the review summary.
Good almost evening again, everybody. And so after Encompass submitted their recharter application, the committee reviewed that, and this is what the committee found. So really overall, they are restart ready. So when we look at the rubric, it's done on a scale of 1 through 3, where 2 meets expectations. And that's what we consistently found, is that they were either meeting or exceeding expectations according to our district. And so the committee felt that they do have the capacity to engage in a turnaround and actually sustain it. A couple of the key strengths that came out of this, looking at their academic system. So their instructional model that they use is in partnership with Great Schools Partnership, and it's called the Elements of Effective Instruction. This has 5 different components: learning environment, clear shared outcomes, varied content, materials, methods of instruction, practice and feedback, and complex thinking and transfer. And so that was definitely one of the highlights. Also implementing a stronger MTSS structure. They have also had great improvement on their chronic absenteeism rates. So when we looked at their data from 22-23, they had a 72% chronic absenteeism rate, which then dropped the next year to 49%, bringing them up to last year down to 36%. So the efforts that the school is making to strengthen relationships with kids, families, is really having an impact. In fact, when our academics team went out and visited Encompass, the executive director, Adam, was talking about being out front, playing music, and he greets every single student every single day. And clearly that goes a long way. In addition, they have found that focusing on the cohort at the 9th grade level has shown increased retainment. And so because they're seeing more kids stay with them, that's now giving them a better projection with their finances. So when you can project that your kids are going to stay with you and you have that per pupil expenditure coming your way, you're going to be more financially stable. And so that's another key strength that came out of the review. So on to some areas for improvement. So when our committee looked at what their recharter application was tending to, we're just looking for maybe some more specific pieces. So how exactly are the elements of effective instruction going to produce outcomes? Some of the instructional strategies might have been taken a little bit too vague. However, there is a plan there. We're just looking for a more direct line of how that would tie to an outcome. So that is an area of focus for them. There was noted by some reviewers some missing or unclear supporting evidence. There was just attend to, let's make sure that a written lease is documented. So it's some little simple things like that, but that are legally necessary to point out. Overall, right now, they're looking stronger. And they're ready for a restart. They've done the work. It was actually extremely refreshing having the presentation by Encompass. I felt really jazzed about where they are as a school and going forward. And the committee in general felt very confident in their progress and are very hopeful, and the data is pointing for a hopeful 2-star rating for next year. And so at this point, I will take any questions, and here is the staff recommendation.
This is awesome. Thank you so much, for both of you, for your hard work. We really appreciate you out there representing the district and helping us and helping them.
All Rochelle.
So, Rochelle, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments?
Kind of a question, comment, and it's difficult for me to ask. I visit all of our charter schools. As far as I'm concerned, every kiddo in Washoe County is all of our kiddos, and we have an obligation to them, our families, employees. Having said that, there was a lot of extra time, resources, human power, hours put into this process. It's part of our commitment. So the tough question is there a mechanism for when we have to go these extra steps to be a reliable and good partner? Can we increase the amount of money that we already receive per pupil, which is, I think, 1.25 or 1.50?
1.5.
1.5, thank you. And I say that because of all the extra time and effort in doing the right thing. So is there a mechanism for doing that?
I think that's a great question, Dr. Nicolette, and something for us to look into. I would have to check within the parameters of the law to see what we're allowed to do, and then also our district policy as well. Coming into the process in the middle, I'm definitely still learning. So this gives me an opportunity to learn about that, and I can absolutely report that back to you.
Thank you, Vice President Woodley. So adding to what Trustee Dr. Nicolette said, hi both of you, welcome too. I think that would be a good idea, but I would have to say that it would have to be something moving forward, because when we're asking one of our charters, do you want to just, or even us deciding, no, but if they decide and we're like going to partner with them for them to restart, I think at that time that would need to be stated. Well, if you restart, there is this small fee. It can be paid out over the next year, but for the next year, you're not just going to pay 1.5, you'll be paying 2.0 or something like that. But I think it would have to be stated at the beginning of the discussion and not at the end, especially not at the end when you guys have all gone, y'all have gone all this work. Because then they might say, we just can't build that in, so we're going to say no, and now all that work is basically gone for naught. But I think there is merit to that, because you guys have done an enormous amount of work. And I know they appreciate it, but we also need to look at what the cost is for us to do the work too. So thank you.
All right, I'm going to check and see if we got any public comment, JJ.
I have no cards for this item.
Okay. Back to the board. Any comments, any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I was ready to make a motion.
Please do.
All right, well, I'm really happy to hear the progress that Encompass has made, and that you all feel just really excited about their direction. I also hear that Principal Adam has some family news, and that's why he couldn't be with us tonight. So congratulations to him and his family. That's very exciting. New babies are always fun. So I would like to move that the Board of Trustees approves the restart of Encompass Academy Charter School under a new charter contract with increased oversight from district staff to include site visits conducted twice per year, once in the fall and once in the spring, and for Encompass Academy Charter School to follow all recommendations in the education consultant's recommendations.
Second?
All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none? Unanimous. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, we're going to move along to Section 4. Next item is 4.01, Student Representatives Report. Do you have anything to report for us today?
Yes. Hi, thank you for allowing me to join you guys. I just wanted to say that the Student Voice District Representatives are working on a pretty big project for a conference we're having in TMCC. We're having all the Student Voice clubs from each school coming over there, and we're going to be presenting our ideas and getting feedback from those students. So, yeah, and thanks again.
And I will start to my right with Trustee Phoenix.
Short, I attended the Bow Hatch Day. So again, it's not about the Bow Hatch Day itself. It's about what he lived for, what he presents, and what WCSD has done. I've been to the Bailey Charter School with Diane Nicolette, learning a little more about charter. So I'm making my rounds, trying to pick up that information and learning. I attended Reed Multicultural Night, so I went to that assembly. So I haven't been to one in a while. That whole place was rocking like crazy, man. So it was neat. Alice Smith Elementary School and Lemon Valley Elementary School for their reading nights that they had, and then the transportation yard ribbon cutting, rain or shine, we all made it, and that was neat to see. I heard some war stories about that place. Some of you have probably experienced it, but I have not. But I heard it was pretty devastating. But now they have a brand new facility, which is awesome. And then I went to the WCSD Transition Academy. Have you ever been to that one yet? If you stop by and see what's going on there, they're taking the students that need some extra help to make it in the real world out there and get them ready for life. And I was amazed to see that we have a 70% rate higher than what is required at the state level. So here in Reno, Nevada, we are kicking some behind doing that. So I was very impressed with that. And I attended the NASB, learning about a portrait of a learner. So again, all those educators there in the room, it was crazy to listen to that discussion. But there was a lot said there, and there was a lot to really think about. And lastly, this was further back. I went to the WCSD, the cadet program spaghetti feed, and they met their mark. They got donations to make it there, and I'm very happy to see that. And then I went to the JROTC commander selection process. So I got to do that one and be a part of that. So seeing some of my colleagues that I know and I worked with in the past present tonight was a great job. Did you like the way they presented? Those lieutenant colonels, right? All right. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you.
Dr. Dye?
I participated in the Marcy Hers Passion Project and Judge 12 projects. It was so overwhelming. Those kiddos worked so hard. Once again, I will say the future is in good hands. Two projects in particular, very different from each other. Two young gentlemen, they're building guzzler stations. Had no idea what those are, and basically they're working with the Nevada Department of Wildlife. They build these structures kind of in the middle of nowhere so that animals can have a place to drink. And there's a certain process by where they build them so that they stay clean and they don't freeze, and it was just wonderful, and they were just so cool. And then there was a young lady who her project was to build awareness of I'm sure this will be new to everyone, the CTNNB1 syndrome and its current research. And it stems from a child that she's known for several years, And she wants people to be aware that this syndrome is out there, and basically, it's a gene mutation, and she taught me all this, I had no idea before this, a gene mutation resulting in developmental delays and mobility challenges. And typically, I learned a new term, it's de novo, which means that it's random and not inherited. Yeah, this whole thing. Next year, you got to do this. So, JROTC and our graduation's coming up. I just want you to know I call this the clapping and cheering season, and we have entered into it. I attended the Nevada Promise Scholar Mentor Lunch. I have a fabulous mentee, and there are currently 700 students in the Nevada Promise Scholarship Program. There's 350 mentors. These mentees have contributed 15,000 clock hours of community service. It's part of the gig that they have to do for the scholarship. And just so you know, they need mentors, and I think each one of you would be absolutely fabulous. So give it a consideration. I facilitated a panel of early childhood experts for an early childhood research symposium. Tina Springmeyer was one of the three, and she made us very proud. She truly is an expert. Thank you very much.
All right, and I'll go next. I don't have much. Last week I attended a 2-day meeting for the NIAA. I'll have an update for the fellow board members. And then the second item I have is, I believe tomorrow is the deadline for our questions.
Yes.
To Doug. Just wanted to remind you guys because I forgot. So, thank you.
I do have a couple of pictures. That's just my header, so I remember what date I'm on, that's all. My amazing pup, Milo, is going to be featured in a story by the Incline Middle School students. Last winter, on Christmas Day of 2024, he went missing in the Sierra Nevadas at the top of the mountain and was gone for 72 days. So my daughter and I went up and shared his story with this group of kids. So in case everybody has not heard about it, the middle school on Wednesdays does an exploratory where the community comes in and teaches them something that's very hands-on. They work with the fire department in Incline. They learn swimming. They learn amazing things, and they do this every Wednesday, and it's really community-based learning. And so the Incline Education Fund asked me to bring Milo up to share his story. And so at the end of this semester, they will be publishing a children's book with Milo's story and hopefully a little awareness of what to do when your pet goes missing. And then I know this is in my day job, but I can't not share the incredible success of the Washoe County We the People teams. So I'll take a point of privilege and say that I get to wear both hats very proudly for this program. And our Reno High School team was the Division C winner, meaning they were the top scoring in their division outside of the top 10. And our Incline High School placed 10th overall. Mr. Himes was my U.S. history teacher. So it was a full circle moment for several of us there, and it was a really, really cool experience. So I just wanted to share their incredible success. These kids work so hard, and that is what I want to see. As a trustee and as an educator, I love seeing our kids and their passion through so many things that we do in this district. So I just had to share that. And then I got to go back up to Incline. I was in Incline a lot lately to help award Elle Evans the very first America 250 Nevada Scholarship. It's a $2,500 scholarship for being a civic leader in her school. And so that was really, really fun to get to give her that award. And then I also spent this last Saturday at the NASB Legislative Conference, and then Superintendent Ernst and I had a meeting with Dylan Shaver and Tess to talk a little bit about the upcoming legislative session. So that's what I've been up to lately.
Thank you. So proud of our We the People winners. I mean, what a fantastic program that is. I mean, it is amazing to see these kids just develop in this role as civic leaders and being able to present. And I mean, it's something to see. So Sergeant Lido, I think she might have left, but shout out to Sergeant Lido. I got to do a ride along with her, and always a joy to spend time, thank you, with our Washoe County School District Police. I mean, they are truly inspirational, and they're so much dang fun. I think I said at the last board meeting, I mean, go on Facebook. Yes. They are cool. They are cool, they are fun, and you can just feel the engagement with kids. I mean, their posts are just engaging. I attended the ribbon cutting at the new beautiful ghetto bus yard. I mean, what a beautiful building. I mean, I don't even want to see it get dirty. It's so beautiful. But I know they've got to do work in there also. A small group meeting for the admin FMP. So garnered lots of great information there. And, there's hard choices needing to be made and everything, but I know we're going to come out with something. We're just going to come out swinging with something great. I did fly to Vegas for the NASB, the joint board meeting with the directors, of which I am a director, and executive board, of which Dr. Nicolette is, and had breakfast the next morning and got to learn more about our legislative process for our platform, which I think is very important that we keep having these discussions. But I did have to leave early because I have to say my baby, my 31-year-old baby boy, Brock, was being inducted that evening into the Reed High Athletic Hall of Fame, both for football and for wrestling. There were 17 exceptional athletes inducted, and 5 teams, 4 coaches, and 1 administrator, and it was just a joyous night. His 2 older kids, my grandchildren, the older twins, Liv and Brooks, were there, and it was such a pleasure. And, I got to see some athletes that he actually played with, and it was a very, very special. And I want to give a shout out to AD Ryan Sims for doing such good work for Reed High School. Just amazing, amazing individual in his role. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, colleagues. Our next item on the agenda is 4.03, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Vice President Woodley, and thanks. There's a lot of great things happening in Washoe County School District. Appreciate all of you highlighting those, taking the time to get to our schools, and, both professional things that are happening, personal things that are happening as a result of our school district many years back. So it's really nice to hear all that. The only thing I'll add is that our school district under AB 517 has been in a comprehensive audit for the past 3 years with the Legislative Counsel Bureau. What that means is that they audit from head to toe every department within our school district. Our teams provide a lot of information, and we recently went forward with the first audit being shared with the subcommittee, the legislative subcommittee. It was presented by our Department of Research and Evaluation, and to be expected, the team performed with just amazing colors in terms of their performance and the work that's being done. These audits will continue, and all of the audits will come forward in August. And then there is still the opportunity for them to continue these audits for 3 consecutive more years on every department within Washoe County School District. Really, it is in perpetuity. So I just wanted to highlight the work that's being done by our teams, let you know that the work that is going forward is exemplary and representative of the standards that we would want to meet. That's the only thing I have to offer outside of all the different things that have been mentioned.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is 5.01, public comment, closing items. JJ?
Brandy Vesco.
Welcome.
Hang on.
Just talk. Hello, my name is Brandy Vesco. I'm the mother of a third grader in the Washoe County School District and co-leader of Wait Until 8th Reno Sparks. I wanted to bring your attention to an error in the outdoor facilities presentation made at your 14th meeting. That presentation stated that there are multiple recess periods daily in our schools, making up more than 10% of each typical school day. This is false. A school day in our district is 360 minutes. More than 10% of that would be more than 36 minutes of recess during the school day. At my own daughter's school, Marvin Moss Elementary in Sparks, the children get 2 15-minute sessions of recess during the school day, so 30 minutes total if they're lucky. That one recess period is frequently withheld, so students can sit on the floor lining the walls of the school quad to complete unfinished work from the classroom. So simply because my daughter sometimes works slowly, there have been many days when instead of spending 8% of her school day playing outside, my 8-year-old only spends 4% of her school day playing outside. On Wednesdays, when school lets out 45 minutes early, all students at Moss only get one 15-minute recess during the school day, or 5% of their school day spent playing outside. I'm sorry. An extra recess is sometimes given once a week, but it is withheld from students who did not complete their iReady minutes the previous week or score at least 67% average on their iReady lessons. We also have no PE program at Moss. I know that everyone here wants what is best for children. I implore you to adhere to Article 31 of the Human Rights of the Child Human Rights Treaty and recognize that play is a right of childhood. I also implore you to adhere to the CDC's stance on recess as a critical component of social, emotional, physical, and academic development in children. So critical that the CDC states schools should not exclude students from recess for academic or disciplinary reasons. Lastly, I urge this board to pursue a blanket mandate for what the outdoor facilities presentation erroneously stated, a humane recess policy of more than 10% of each school day to be spent in outdoor play during multiple recess periods, and a blanket prohibition of schools withholding recess for academic or disciplinary reasons. Because as that presentation rightly stated, outdoor play is a staple in the educational experience. I'm so sorry, I got upset. I did not expect that. I'm just in mama bear mode.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
John Ippolito.
Technical difficulties. I'm John Ippolito, Protect Nevada Children. Brandy had to wait over 3 hours to give her comments, and that's wrong. And I think most of you know that by now. You should have never cut off initial public comments. I think Trustee Nicolette was against it at the time, if I'm not mistaken. You guys need to bring that back. I know you did it to silence some conservatives, but what you've also done is silence parents, teachers, students. I wonder how many other people would have wanted to speak tonight if they didn't have to wait 3 hours and 15 minutes to speak. Please bring the initial public comments back. We the people, that's awesome. Hopefully you guys will have a agenda item. We just heard a whole bunch about the IB. Hopefully you guys will bring the We the People kids in here to recognize them. That would be awesome. I know I've been involved in, actually all 4 of my kids had to do it. It was required at my house, and some of you have heard my story. I'm gonna skip that because there's only 2 minutes left. But if you go to, it's a Facebook page. I don't think I came up with this name. It's So I've Decided That IB Sucks. That's the name of the Facebook page. And the principal, the vice principal, I think, from, I believe it's Reno High, had a comparison of IB to AP. That was, so I've decided that IB sucks on Facebook. She does a real good comparison, and a couple quick things that the people left out. I don't know if any of them are here, but a couple things they left out. The IB program, that I spent a lot of time on this, some of you might remember. That program, it's really good if people get the IB diploma. And that's for kids that are willing to work really hard, probably average and above average kids that are willing to work really hard and do it. And that's a great accomplishment. And my son at the Ivy League school said that he did notice that the IB kids were prepared for Ivy League. But they're probably the ones that got the IB diploma. The downside, and one of the things that the vice principal from Reno High talks about, I think, is if you want to get college level class like at UNR, you have to have the IB upper level classes, and they're 2-year classes. Most colleges will not give credit for the IB lower level classes. They're 1 year. So the most you can take is a couple of those 2-year classes at, now Worcester is a little different than it would have been at Incline. It's bigger and kids don't have to do it. But still, to get college credit, you have to do the 2-year IB class. So what that does is make it a lot more expensive for parents, because my older kids took, I think, 8 AP classes, and I think the other one took 6 of the 2 older ones. They would have had a lot more college credit if they would have went to regular schools. Ivy League didn't give much credit. I guess my time's up already.
The board received emails from Pam Bodenhammer and Arias McKinney.
All right, thank you, JJ. Next item on the agenda, we have 5.02, which is the announcement of our next meeting, which will be May 12th, 2026. I think that's going to be a pretty heavy agenda, so we might be hearing from the president about maybe what time we're going to start that meeting. All right, next item on the agenda is 5.03, with his meeting adjourned.